opportunities
I
on Earth.
got in a moment got really pissed off and immediately went right back down when I thought he was flying.
Well, why not? I mean, he's fucking Iron Man now.
No,
so
the webbed
why
gliders
not?
is absolutely a Spider-Man thing, so that's fine. But when he came, I was like, "Are you serious? Is he just flying with his Spider-Man suit? No, his Iron Man suit."
Where's the limitations?
Exactly.
What's the point in them?
Again,
They should have had a scene where he flies up into space and like does like a loop round Saturn and then comes back again.
Or loops
Why
around
not?
the world to turn back time.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Superman.
I'm so nervous because you guys have not. We somehow managed to talk about it the other night, just a little bit, without you guys giving away your actual overall impressions.
Well, I feel like me and Harry had a secret council.
Probably, yes. I feel like you did too. And
That's it.
It makes me even more nervous. I feel like instead of just not talking about it yesterday, you just kind of got it all your cards on the table and went, right, how do we break him down?
Yeah.
As soon as you got out of the car, I turned to Liam and went, "So what did you really think of Spider-Man No Way Home?"
Are we going to go into like what did we really think, or should we let it reveal itself as we speak?
Oh yeah, I think if we'll go along. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, the build-up. Let's talk about the build-up.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was the thing in itself.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's been. I honestly, I was too young to know what it was like, but I feel like there was a build up to the original. There was a bit of a. I remember it being in the air that
There was
Spider-Man movie.
anticipation,
Oh,
for sure, yeah.
anticipation was high for that movie.
Was it? I was so oblivious as a kid, but I do. But the fact that I noticed it suggests to me that it was massive. So is this possibly the biggest?
Well,
since-
Tom Holland reckons that the hype for this movie was more so than Endgame. I mean, he's paid to say that, but
I'd say
it's quite close.
I would say it was. Just the amount of it's in everyone's. The people that weren't. I've been talking to people that they're like, they're just frustrated people they know where they're like, they booked tickets for the new Spider-Man movie. They've not seen any other Marvel movie, but they booked tickets because it's that much of a the thing to do. It's the pop culture
Bigger
thing.
reach.
yes, it is. I mean, I feel like the Spider-Man movies in the MCU thus far haven't had as much hype.
Yeah.
Because of their inclusion in the MCU. A lot, Homecoming was really marketed as kind of a Spider-Man and Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Marketed badly. I
Yeah.
feel like Far From Home got a little bit of a not a bad rap, but a bit of a dampened hype.
Yeah.
Because of because of a bit of a fatigue because it came out after Endgame.
And I remember having conversations before it came out with people where it's like we've said Endgame, it's like, do we want more?
Yeah.
There's a very much that feeling. It's like, this is probably going to determine if we want more. And at the time, it was kind of like, that was really good. But you realise now that wasn't quite the epilogue it could have been.
Yes.
Well, that's another conversation for another podcast.
I know.
I could talk about that for ages.
Yeah.
Should they have ended it after Endgame?
Yeah. It's very much becoming the feeling amongst people as well, I feel.
Yeah.
It's starting to spread.
Yeah, I feel like the hype for this movie reached kind of peak levels for two reasons. One, because the marketing prior to maybe about 4 weeks ago was just so non-existent and bad.
It was just the secret, wasn't it? That was all it was.
And then leaks, which are quite prevalent these days in terms of comic book films.
They're happening far too often to not be the studio.
But they've also reached an upper echelon because this film just had every leak imaginable.
Yeah.
That
they literally had. They had a scene in one trailer in Brazil or something like that shows an edit where it looks like they've edited out the thing, or just not edited it in the thing that might give the thing away.
Yes.
And just don't put the clip in the thing. But apparently it was a whole mistake. I was like, how did it make it into that reel?
Yeah.
Someone put it there though.
Also, in terms of editing, as an editor, you'd probably watch it back at least about 10, 15 times.
How did it even get past
the editing?
if it's
If it's your job,
Yeah.
if it's your job,
That's that scene.
That's it.
How
Like,
did
you-
that scene get put in
Yeah.
there? Like you don't. There wasn't other scenes that accidentally got put in. Like you put it in there.
Yeah.
So even if you forgot to remove it, why was it there in the
that
first place?
that particular clip as well. It's like if you, because obviously in the English version and most other versions, there is just a the edit happens about 1 second
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Why
it
aren't
doesn't
they?
happen.
Why aren't they communicating? Like, why aren't they saying, "Oh, I'm using this particular clip that we've been sent.
Yeah.
I'm using this duration." It's not hard to put
I don't
it
know why
down.
it's not just one trailer.
Time
and they just
codes
do the
down.
language.
Yeah. So spoilers from here on.
Oh, 100%. Like,
I mean, this is
if you have not seen it, turn this podcast off now.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Because
should,
this
maybe,
is the this will cover the question.
maybe you should put like a spoiler alert notice on
On the image,
actual
on the
title
artwork,
and
yeah.
the picture for this one.
It literally is just there's like warnings everywhere.
Sure,
yeah.
So this is a spoiler cast, so it's
Absolutely a spoiler cast. This
So-
this literally addresses both questions of are they in it, and if they are, why did they bring Garfield back? But
yeah.
they feel like they're the two big questions. They will
yeah.
get covered in.
But just to speak briefly about what we were just saying, I do feel like this was probably the most hyped Spider-Man film so far, probably surpassing the original Spider-Man.
Toby film.
I don't know if it's as hyped as Endgame as Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think that's maybe
suggests.
a little bit of a stretch.
But
I don't know,
certainly,
I feel like it was.
probably the second most hyped
Yeah.
after Endgame.
But see,
It'd be interesting to see those stats.
Yeah.
See which way it
my,
went.
my opinion
how you
on
would
that,
do that.
on my opinion on that is for Endgame, I was like scratching at the door to get in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there was so much intrigue. Like there was lots of stuff that had been revealed in marketing for Endgame, but not as much as I knew about this
It
was
very
going to go
much-
down.
I remember going into that film very much. I was avoiding training stuff anyway, but I remember going to that film literally thinking, I have no fucking clue what they're going to do. I know
Well,
they're going to obviously bring everyone back, but I
Yeah.
don't know what they're going to fucking do. How are they going to do it?
Well, they pretty much revealed the old time travel thing.
Yeah,
Did
but,
they?
Yeah.
but how on
I'd say I
earth
didn't watch trailers.
they managed to keep that big ending under wraps?
Yeah.
I mean, is beyond belief these days.
yeah,
Com-
but, I mean,
comparing that to literally, so compare that. That's like the like a massive crescendo of like all of these films in the MCU,
Yeah.
like this big epic battle at the end of Endgame. Compare that, how hard it must have been not to leak something like that. The amount of people that are in it,
Exactly.
the amount of people who must have worked on the shots and the editing and the effects, and then they couldn't even keep the fact that 2 other people were in this movie.
Or were they?
I would say longer. I'd say more than 2 because they tried. Apparently, there's a whole thing. Will Dafoe wore a hood on set the whole time to hide it was him. It was like we all know you're in it, mate.
Yeah, they
But then he had a hood on in this.
Tom
I
Holland
liked it, yeah,
also
it's good.
said that they wanted to keep the fact that all of the other villains were in it a secret,
Yeah,
but they changed the strategy of the marketing, like
For obvious reason.
So that
Because
they
honestly-
advertise the villains but keep the
Yeah.
other characters.
Look over
secret.
here,
On-
classic misdirection.
well, unfortunately, it didn't kind of work out for them. But the
It did work out though. I feel like.
no, the I'm saying like the others got leaks, so
But yes, but I think they got leaked in the perfect way because still, I know you were sure. No one was 100% going into that movie.
Yeah,
was
I
definitely
do
sure.
have to agree with
They
Sam.
gave you a little
there
bit
was
of
an
a-
uncertainty
Yeah.
for me.
right.
It was like, it was like, are they, aren't they?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And as
Okay.
much as I know all those things came out, it leaked.
Yeah, and everyone was like,
I just had pure confidence.
Yeah,
No,
I
you,
was
you were
Yes, I did.
99%.
Yeah, that's
That's not pure. Pure is
I feel
100%.
like-
no, that's pure
there was a
confidence.
I
crack.
feel like there was
Nah, shut
summed
up.
out. Every conversation I had with people about this movie, it was, do you think
they're
Tobey
gonna be in
Maguire
it?
and Andrew Garfield are going to be in it?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I do, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
I can't say for certain, but I do think they'll be in it, and I'm expecting to see them, and I'll be
Yeah.
disappointed if I don't.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure.
I didn't like that a lot of people's expectation of the movie floated on them being in it. That
Well,
bugged
that's
me a
another
bit.
thing I wanted to ask. Is you know, if we hadn't have had this sort of looming mystery, if you will,
Yeah.
of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in this film.
Yeah.
If we hadn't had that, would the hype for this
I
film
don't think so.
have been as big?
No,
think so.
not
So,
even slightly.
Ironically,
Nowhere near.
which and I hate to admit it because it's everything I despise about movie marketing.
Yeah.
But if they hadn't have, accidentally leaked, that trailer you spoke about, or if
Yeah.
they hadn't, these rumors hadn't popped up on the web,
Yeah.
about their involvement, it would never. It's like a circle. It would never have. It sparked, like you said, this movie. People were interested in seeing this film who weren't necessarily big fans of the MCU.
Yeah.
But they I want to see this movie because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield might be in it.
Some people, honestly, a lot of it came from, I want to see this movie because that's what people are talking about. They're not even necessarily Spider-Man fans. They're just,
Yeah.
oh, well, they're literally people that will go, well, that's popular, so
Yeah,
I'll
'cause-
do that.
So I do think it was a good idea on their part to reveal early on that, for example,
It's,
Alfred Molina,
he
and
was the first
Willem
one, wasn't he?
Dafoe
Yeah.
and Jamie Foxx were in
Yeah.
it, because straight away that made me want to see it. I want to see Green Goblin and Doc Ock back.
Yeah.
Even if, and this was in the very early days when the whole Toby Andrew thing wasn't quite as
No, they
prevalent.
didn't take. That's
No,
what I
no,
think
yeah.
might have sparked it a bit. People started to go, well, if he is,
as soon
then-
as I found out Doc Ock was coming back, I think that was the first
that
one.
was the first big
I
one.
was
yeah.
like, yes, I want to see this film.
Yes.
That made me want to see it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, and Electro's in it. Oh, all right, but not as exciting. But now Green Goblin's in it.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my! And then the trailer dropped. It's like, oh, Sandman and Lizard are in it.
And then Charlie Cox. Never ever forget Charlie Cox, the guy who played Matt Murdock. The fact Matt
Well,
Murdock
I
had a
didn't
little-
know
That
that
wasn't
until-
revealed in any trailer though.
Until
They
you
did
told
tell
me
us
about
that
it
was
in the
Matt
car.
Murdock was given though.
Yeah, well, it wasn't revealed in a trailer, but literally like a week before the film, Kevin Feige said that if Daredevil returns, it's going to be Charlie Cox,
Right.
and that you just haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
They didn't say, oh yeah, he's in this movie.
Yeah.
I've known from
It was a leak.
months that
It was
he
another
in his
leak.
Movies. Yeah,
Another
yeah,
leak that
yeah.
he was
That they
in the
did. It was the amount of just because they're based on hype thing. I'm 100% that somehow the studio was involved in it. Like
But then
it's how they
again-
did
yeah.
their marketing.
But then again, you see, what does that say, Sam, about the MCU Spider-Man films? Because it's the fact that this film was so hyped and generated such a wider audience because,
the other two might have been in it.
yeah, and because so all these like Spider-Man fans, but not necessarily MCU Spider-Man fans, all flocking to the cinema to see their favourite characters from the original and much better trilogy. So what does
Yeah.
that say about? I mean, where's
No,
the
it's
where-
interesting.
Where's
It
the
does raise the
faith
question. It does,
Where's the
exactly.
faith
It does
in-
raise the question. Like, did they even believe enough
in the
there?
franchise?
I feel like they saw an opportunity, a lot like.
I'd have done it this way. I think.
I think they saw an opportunity with their current partnership with Sony,
Yeah,
that they thought if the time was ever that they were able to do such,
Yeah.
that time was now.
Yeah.
Especially after after how well received Into the Spider-Verse was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was definitely a key player in this. I believe.
Yeah, because it's not like they've picked up the film Into the Spider-Verse and thought we can do exactly the same thing.
No.
They've taken one aspect of it,
Yeah.
and they've used that.
yeah.
Which is even an aspect of the Spider-Verse. It's a thing that
Yeah.
comic books
Yeah.
just do.
I mean,
the multiverse is
yeah.
literally... I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Hawking got the idea to look into the theory because he read a comic book and went, that could be interesting.
Definitely not.
I know.
You're-
I know.
I
But
mean,
you know what I mean? It's
You're
like,
insane.
That's a
obviously,
wild.
I don't necessarily believe that. I'm
theory.
just like... You know what I
That
mean?
is the
Like,
most outlandish thing you've actually ever
I feel
said
like
on
the
this
comic book
podcast.
multiverse
Yeah.
is older than us being told the multiverse as like a populace understanding it.
You've heard it here first.
There you go.
That Stephen Hawking looked into black holes and multi-dimensional theories
Because
That's
he
it.
read a comic book.
because
as a
of
kid.
Stan Lee and
'Cause he
Steve
read-
Ditko.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Maybe
quite
it's
sure
them.
how to react to
No,
that.
maybe not. I don't know who did it first, DC or Marvel, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking.
That's
was-
going to be a resounding
was
no from me.
studying
Of course it's a
like
no.
physics or whatever before the first comic book was even released.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah,
What, in the 50s?
yeah,
He's not that old.
yeah. But he
wasn't
would have
alive
been. He would have. Wasn't he already? Oh, I don't want to get into
Not in
this.
the
course.
50s, no.
Yeah, wasn't he already at like Cambridge or something?
Not in the 50s. He wasn't that old.
Yeah, 50s, 60s, surely.
I think it
What,
was.
Stephen Hawking?
Yeah.
I'm sure he was like about my dad's age.
He's not in his prime now, is he? It's not like in his 40s or something.
He's not, no. But, no, I swear he was. I thought he was about my dad's age.
How old's your dad?
Just coming up to 60.
Let's have a look.
I didn't think he was that old.
You might be right. Actually,
He's very modern science.
It might have been the 60s.
Yeah, that would make a bit more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a bit older than my dad then. That still puts him about 20 years older than my dad.
Right. Well, anyway, Stephen
sorry,
Hawking
I don't know why
aside.
the Stephen Hawking podcast.
Welcome to the Stephen
Yeah,
Hawking.
Stephen
podcast.
Hawking. Stephen
One
Hawking
thing that I
got the idea
didn't
of the
think that we'd
multiverse.
be talking about this morning is Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
You know,
But
that
also,
and,
as it-
that and Spider-Man.
He got the
there isn't-
idea of multiverse from comic books.
There's
it.
more than 7 degrees of separation there.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. Yes. The multiverse.
I feel like
That's-
post Endgame, the multiverse was always going to be the next step for Marvel. But I believe they then they then saw this as like a catalyst to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a few things fell into place for them quite well. Timing wise, you know, like how well the franchise is doing. For them to have just been like the success and the hype of Marvel, you know, at the time of like pre-production for this movie would have probably been like a year after Endgame or just after. So that, you know, they're at the peak. They were at the peak during Infinity War and Endgame, arguably. So, you know, they were just thinking, right, we're at the peak of interest for the MCU at the moment. How can we try and keep that momentum, or how can we try and, you know, keep invested interest? And using your most popular superhero and
But not
potentially
making-
extra iterations of it from cinema's past was probably a no-brainer
Yeah.
for them
Absolutely,
at the time.
you can see they're in the offices. They had that conversation. Then they left the office, and another group came in, and went. But before that, we're going to release these movies about people that nobody knows, just to
Yeah,
really
mate.
down that hype.
or
Let's
just
really crush that hype before
Yeah.
we like. It's like, but yeah, no, absolutely. It was.
I feel like that period in between Endgame and where we are at the moment, I definitely feel like coming out of the cinema and then like reading reviews online, I definitely feel like Principal Skinner from The Simpsons in that meme. It's just like, am I out of touch with the MCU fans? No, no, it's not.
No.
It's definitely the kids.
There's a hangover.
Yeah, there
We're
is.
all
Yeah,
experiencing it
Yeah,
collectively.
yeah.
And
I'm having this conversation constantly with people. That,
Yeah.
big fans of the MCU. Like,
Yeah.
loved the last 23 movies, but a lot of people are coming out as similar to what you said. You've done the rewatch. My boss last night, he's made a point of he's done it. He thinks realistically in the MCU, there's about 5 films that are really good, and the others are kind of just fillers.
yes,
And you think back, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that.
And the Spider-Man franchise, with the timing and placing of it, is like we've all got a hangover now. But the Spider-Man franchise is that one annoying friend who wants to keep drinking. Have another shot. Have another shot. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I'm done.
Hair of the dog.
I'm too hungover.
When it could have been the friend that bought you McDonald's to try and help you.
Yeah, it could have been the yeah.
You know, you're
I feel like,
pre-hangover.
to be honest,
Nice,
I feel
I like
like
that
the other
metaphor.
Marvel movies were the have another shot, and this was the friend that finally came in with the McDonald's for me.
don't know.
Yeah, but is it satisfying, or are you too hungover?
But they
to
gave me
eat?
McDonald's. They gave me McDonald's, but there was
This analogy just keeps evolving.
they bought me the McDonald's, but then there was vodka in the orange juice. That's
Yeah.
what I feel like. It
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
So
They're
he's giving
like,
you-
oh, you feel better now, don't you? It's like, I
Yeah.
do feel better now. But why do I want more drink?
This
I don't
friend's
want
giving
more
you a
drink.
Big Mac and a fucking screwdriver to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's
Exactly.
happening. It's like, so we're going to carry on then, aren't we? Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's that sort
Yes, yeah. I got
That's
you
a great
McDonald's,
analogy.
but it's a filet o fish meal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's just disappointment.
And they didn't have any milkshake.
Oh, could you imagine that combination?
That's what it feels like.
Oh, disgusting.
The intention was there,
Yeah.
but the
Oh, no, I was going to say this is the
payoff
full-on
wasn't.
McDonald's breakfast. they somehow convinced me.
well, that's what
enjoy it.
that's how you see it.
Okay, okay.
So going into the film, I did say to I don't know if I said to both of you, but I definitely said it to Harry that I feel like I've got like hype exhaustion from this movie.
Yeah,
It was only like the last week. Everyone would say like, "Are you looking forward to it?" And I was like, "I definitely am."
Yeah.
But like me verbalizing it or emoting it, I'm just too tired to do so.
yeah, same.
From being like, oh my god, like with all of the information that's coming out, like the constant bombardment. Like obviously, I run the Twitter account for Two Reels. Follow us at Two Reels podcast.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
So everything I follow is film and TV related. So it's just so for every 10 tweets, there'd probably be 7 tweets that are about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's all the same stuff.
I know. I get
So
it.
it's kind of like I personally, I don't know about you guys, but it had got to the point where I just had hype exhaustion. I was just like, I'm not over it. I'm not like, oh, I don't really want to. It hasn't turned me. I wasn't like, oh, can't really bother now.
Yeah, no.
It's more like I just
wanna
can't.
see it now. Just need to see it.
I just need to see it. I can't emote like, yeah, I'm buzzing, but I've got like a deadpan face.
Yeah.
same.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm buzzing.
I know.
You know, like just
Yeah, that was
very
me. That was me on
very
Thursday.
somber
How I felt.
buzzing.
That was me on Thursday.
I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but
I need to be in the
Other
cinema
people are
looking
literally
at
like-
it now.
yeah,
Like,
I was buzzing for it
tensing.
like 2 weeks before.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I feel like it. I
They
feel
should have
like
brought it out in like first week of December.
would've been
Like,
great.
the hype peaked too early.
yeah,
By the time we actually got to watch it, it started.
it's
to,
plateaued a
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we know the question. We've got used to the question. We've made up our mind about the question.
Yeah.
Like, we know where we're going into this now, unsure or 100% sure or not sure, but like, or knowing it's not. Let's just see it now. Let's just come on. And the problem is, I think that I feel like that. I say it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I feel like I had that constant there's an undertone in underlying in the movie itself, where I'm like, right, this is good. I'm enjoying it. This is cool. Let's just get to the question now. Like there's a bit of a kind of like, I just want to know they're in it. It's almost like it was bad. I felt myself getting more interested in are they in it than the movie I'm currently watching.
Yes.
Was that a tactic though?
Yes.
Was that again, like Harry said, was that a tactic of like, the rest of the movie is kind of like bit linear, bit one dimensional, ironically. But is that because they were like, right, okay, we need to kind of direct people to the cinema? Like, surely you should have
They've done their box office weekend.
Yeah,
Let's put it
they
that
should
way.
have had a streamlined process where it's just like people. I know people want to see this because it's Spider-Man, but there should be a direct line to trying to get people who just want to go to the movies, or who just not necessarily into like the MCU, or I feel like the actual marketing didn't really do that.
No.
Like it's all the leaks that have kind of got the buzz going.
Exactly.
And yeah, and then we finally sat down to watch the movie.
There was, to be fair, post even. Obviously, we've had a discussion about Far From Home, and Far From Home, I enjoy watching it, but I do acknowledge it's not the greatest, especially MCU-wise, but in movies-wise, it's a bit, there's a lot of problems with it. But because of how it ended, I have been kind of had that anticipation about this next movie since that moment, because it's very rare. It's nice to have that moment where you're like, I have no fucking clue what they're going to do, because they've either ruined this by making this decision, or they're just going a different direction. It's really going to work. They're doing something different, which is fine. And I just literally but I won't know until the next movie. So I've sort of been looking forward to this movie because of that aspect factor anyway. And then obviously in the last couple of months, the rest, the question came in, and then it was just like, so I feel like there was probably people that were buzzing to see, like there was an anticipation to see it because everyone was a little bit like, the way it ended, you're a bit like, it was a bit of a what the fuck moment. That last shot of him very much sums up, I feel like, how everyone was at the end of the movie, like what happens next. But it wouldn't have reached this level of hype without the leaks and stuff like that. That's the hype level it reached was 100% because of the question.
So the movie kicks off at the very end of Far From Home, where Peter is revealed to be Spider-Man, and
what a twist!
They re-showed the scene, didn't they?
Yeah, they pretty much do. I mean, and then it kicks on from there. I mean,
bit of a film, but also I can see people doing it, but you're a bit like, kind of display of the general public and how awful they can be, like from the off. With that, there's literally, they go straight to her, and like start crowding her. I think one of them a lady tries to grab her.
Yeah.
And he kind of like shoos her off, and she's like, Spider-Man hit me, Spider-Man hit me.
Yeah. A Hollywood-esque SJW kind of woman.
Yeah.
Kind of half Karen.
I liked that moment because it was like, that
is exactly what happened.
To be fair, me and Stephen went, that's ridiculous. And then Stephen kind of went, but that would probably happen. I'm like, the bit that wouldn't happen was the guy who jumped for him.
That was fucking hilarious.
It was funny, but oh my God.
I was like,
it was literally like,
you're going to catch Spider-Man,
and then what happens? The best bit about that was the potential was like, what happens if he got him?
Yeah,
like,
dog with a car, kind of. You don't know what to do next. Yeah. I caught Spider-Man. It's just like, well, now you're swinging through the air, and he's just like, get the hell off me.
If that was you that jumped and missed, my first question wouldn't be like, oh, fair play. I'd be like, what was the plan there? Like,
you would just, if Spider-Man was in his, in his right mind at the moment, you would have just like looked at him and just been like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What's the plan here, buddy?
So he's trying to,
cool little opening. I liked it. Get a bit of spider swinging. It was like a nice, funny opening.
I didn't like it.
It was a bit. So this is where the film's weird for me. This is where the film moves with me. The first bits of it, I was like, okay, this is okay, but it wasn't like, oh, okay, we're in now. It was a bit. And obviously it was supposed to be a bit slapstick funny and stuff like that. And I'm like, I get it's supposed to be slapstick funny, and I'm sure we've got a lot of serious tone coming. I know there is. So maybe they are trying to get the Marvel out of their system, which is fine. And it turns out maybe that was the case. But by Marvel standards, it absolutely was the case. If you compare it to Marvel Relativity. But it was a little bit like, this is quite real, guys, and you're making a big joke out of this sort of thing. It was a bit.
It just felt off to me. Like it just. You've just kicked off this film.
Yeah.
I know you started it. You've decided to start it exactly at the end of the last movie.
So he's the same age still.
Yeah, I didn't really. That doesn't really do anything for me.
No.
Like I would rather it have been like a few months later.
I'd rather it have been the time gap that we've just had. So he's finally older than 16.
No. I think it was just like. It was. They didn't. I don't think they felt like they knew how to start the movie, so they were just like.
That's exactly it. That's
let's
exactly
just start
what it felt
from.
Like. I feel like they put in a scene they were playing with at the end of last movie and went, actually no, let's cut it at that moment where they actually might have had this scene lined up, like, or the bit where they're swinging away. Yeah. It felt a bit. Yeah. I think they were trying to do like a smooth transition, and it was a bit like, oh, okay, this is an okay scene.
They haven't really done that. Have they done? They haven't really done that much for any other movie.
I've never felt more. Kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake, with the dude moment, that was a bit. I was just like, fuck's sake, where he rings him and he's like, dude, and he's like, dude, and she's like, dude. I'm like, oh,
that sums up the whole MCU Spider-Man trilogy for me. This is exactly what I was talking about.
There's like a lack of good writing.
It does sum up what's the problems you have with it, and when I understand it, that scene is a nice little concentration of that.
Yeah,
I think like it was. I was watching it. I'm thinking, I know these are the bits I don't like about.
Yeah,
I will say I do think this film fixed a lot of things of those elements as it went on. As this film went on,
did it?
It generally got better for me. Yes, it did. It generally got better for me, but I agree that the opening probably half hour or so till it got to the bit where it actually got real. So even the bit when they got arrested, I'm a bit like that cop. I'm done with that character. ever
Yeah,
again.
innit?
I don't need to see EastEnders
So
cop
fucking-
again.
it's so cliche.
I don't need to see the cop that's playing them against it. It's like, guys, I don't think the police really do this. I don't think they torment kids or shit like that. Like they've just like the cop's a bad guy. It's like, well, no, he's a cop. Can't you just
And
show a cop doing his job?
anything they'd say would be
Used against them.
admissible in court because they had no lawyer present.
It's just the way the cop's like. Cop thinks he's catching out
Yeah,
Ned and
literally.
he's just
Exactly.
talking, and he's just like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
clearly an
yeah.
ignorant kid. Like, why would you still feel the moment to go, oh, so you turn on him and you're his accomplice? Like, don't like.
Yeah.
The bit with May was quite a good idea because there's a point there. To be honest, she in some ways it is child endangerment. Obviously, he's stronger than any person, so he's more than an adult in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
But there is that. I caught that was like okay, that's fine. But at the same time, it's a Marvel movie. The problem what Marvel does is they like to dip their toe in the reality and like the real moments, but then immediately,
not
just kind of
not
like,
really like stick the
So
landing.
it's like, imagine in real life this would be a thing, wouldn't it be, guys? Yeah, but let's go some quippy stuff. And I'm like, oh, no,
Yeah.
don't either show me the serious and have an element. Obviously, have some funny. Always have some funny if you can have some funny with that. But like, don't just show nothing else came of that after that. They've gone to a like child endangerment thing. You're thinking, oh shit, May's going to have to go for a whole court. No, it was just like, let's drop that line in there to show that we're serious, and then left it.
Yeah.
Kind of after that.
I completely agree. I mean, it's
It was. I wasn't.
one of
yeah.
my criticisms of this trilogy and this film is the jokes, just constant jokes
Yes. Yeah.
and quips over, and so many jokes.
To the point I was nervous at the end of the movie.
It's exhausting.
You know that
trying
bit
to
at the
keep
end.
up with
You know,
them.
this, we'll get to it. We'll address it in. But the serious, when it gets serious, I was genuinely scared. I was like, so I know there's going to be a scene after this. I don't know if they're going to. Thankfully, they didn't. I don't know if they're going to be serious with this or they're going to.
Make a
Because I was
joke
like,
out of it.
Try to make a
obviously,
joke
especially
in
when
there.
something happened, and I'm like, right, I know something's going to happen now.
Yeah.
They've got to like, for those scenes to happen, they've got to play that really cleverly because otherwise it just completely undoes what's going on with the scene. And they kind of did it. They went a bit again. They were good, and then they just immediately marbled it a little bit.
It's
it was a bit, and I don't like that.
It's
I really
definitely
don't like it.
the boy that's cried wolf, because the jokes you've heard so many in so many quite serious situations.
Exactly.
That you're then expecting it in the serious
Yeah.
moments where you should be invested in the emotion.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and that affects, certainly for me, that affects how how I feel
yeah.
watching the scene. It's like, oh, I know that the film's trying to make me feel something here, like feel really sad,
Yeah.
or feel inspired, or get goosebumps, but none
You don't
of that
trust it.
happened
You
because
don't trust them.
I'm just thinking, oh, they're just going to make a joke or
Exactly.
a quip.
They've lost your
Something
trust.
funny's going to happen in a minute.
Been burnt too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did a really good few minutes of proper good serious, but then they kind of marbled afterwards.
Yeah.
We'll wait till we get to that part of the film, but
So
Yeah, so it's
once the
I think once, do you know this? I think the turning point for me started when it just got into the movie and it became about the college thing because okay, now this feels like a start of a movie, and basically post Matt Murdock, it was great having him in it, and that was a cool little bit. The brick thing was a bit much, but okay.
Here's the thing with that scene, right? Everything you've had up until that point is a bit like Peter Parker's been revealed as Spider-Man. Peter Parker, there's going to be like criminal charges, serious charges like against him. And then you have one quick throwaway scene which involves another Marvel character,
Yeah.
Charlie Cox returning, who is
He was in that
Daredevil.
other movie.
Yeah, and he just basically just goes, nah, it's all good.
Yeah, that was a bit.
And I was like, well, the whole first 20 minutes of the film is so fucking irrelevant then,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they
Like,
literally
there was no danger.
I don't get why they did it, but I get why they did it in the sense of like, okay, you want the story to be about how the public's react to him, and you need the the criminal bit to go away, but no, it doesn't. Unfortunately,
Also,
you don't get to have that.
It felt like another movie that they were starting, and
Yeah.
then they had one scene where they were like, shit, got to have all of these villains.
But
and
again, they
these
did the
two
thing. They
other
did the thing
Spider-Man
with
in it.
Happy. They did the thing with Happy, which they did with May in the thing. They teased this idea that, oh shit, they're gonna have to go through some shit,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And then with Happy, like, oh, by the way, it was your assets being used. You better get a lawyer. Happy seemed untouched the whole movie.
Yeah, literally.
So like,
Wasn't in custody.
no
Or
custody
wasn't
or like
in,
under investigation or anything. It was just
You know, he's not a superhero. Like, they could have just picked him up anyway.
honestly just
if he was under investigation or being arrested for
Speaking
something.
of Charlie Cox's cameo, I don't know about you guys, but I found that, and it, unfortunately, it's not the first. Sorry, it's not the only cameo in this film that I felt like this, but it was definitely the first. I found it underwhelming.
yes, I was a bit disappointed.
It was like, and I loved Daredevil.
Yeah.
I think his performance is fantastic.
yeah,
And I just thought he deserves better than that.
yeah.
It's just like you said, it's just a random throwaway scene where he's giving
He's a plot
giving
device.
Peter legal advice.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's that bit where he catches the brick, but
I'm a really good lawyer. I quite liked that. I liked the thing catching the brick
Honestly,
and they're like,
mate,
how'd you do
there's,
that? It's a really
there's
good
no
lawyer,
lead
but-
up to. There's no lead up to why he would be
No,
their lawyer.
yeah,
No.
yeah, it was like, I don't know, I just felt a bit like
Felt rushed.
it felt shoehorned.
Yeah.
Felt
in.
shoehorned in.
And yeah, I like the
Show me, don't tell me.
the implication of it.
Yeah.
I like that they're saying excuse me. I like that they're saying, the Netflix series are
Is-
canon.
yeah.
This confirms it.
Yeah.
So I like that element.
And it's literally the same day, technically,
yeah.
Fisk was confirmed as well. So
But
they've literally
I
been
just-
confirmed on the same day,
I
in a
just thought,
sense.
Spoilers for
it's
Hawkeye.
just a shame. It's I don't know. I don't know whether I would have liked him to have been in it more and been much more involved.
Yeah. I
Or
was.
just not in it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, yeah.
And that's an odd feeling to leave you with, isn't it?
It is,
When I
yeah.
was like pleased that he is confirmed to be coming back
Yeah.
as
yeah,
Daredevil,
yeah. Very,
but
yeah.
at the same time, so underwhelmed as to the execution.
Yeah.
They've done it again. They brilliant idea, but didn't execute it.
And
And they're doing this too much.
see, I like it was quite funny when he caught the brick. He's just like, I'm
really
just
good
a really
lawyer.
good lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just like that's a nice bit of fan service. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
But like everything up to and then after that, I'm just like, well, it was just quite pointless.
Yeah.
It was,
You know?
it was literally, he was a plot device. And that was it.
There should have just been like a scene where he's just like walking up. He's just like looking in the phone book or something, or like on Google for like lawyers, and it's just like
And it comes
yeah,
up
so it's
with
like Foggy and
Matt
Nelson.
Murdock.
Or him,
yeah.
they're
Nelson
in, they're in
and
their
Murdoch,
offices,
yeah.
so you get a little cameo from all three of them, and they're in their
Yeah.
offices, and they're seeing the news, and he'll like, "I'll be right back," something like that, just because it makes sense in his canon as well, for him to help Peter, because he does help poorer people that can't necessarily afford good lawyer. That's his whole thing.
But they didn't
So
do
him,
anything with that.
Him being his lawyer actually makes a lot of sense, but.
But you have to know
Like-
the comics to
but-
see that.
Or the series? No, because in the comics, he actually is I think he gets paid. I think it's more the something the Netflix series they grounded him with the whole like. But anyway, that's fine. So it's believable. But like, give me the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't just drop him there. Like, oh, he's his lawyer.
Yeah.
That's cool, isn't it?
Marvel has got to that point where they just assume you know all the Easter eggs now.
Yeah.
And
Or
like,
they
as
just-
someone who kind of does, like, it's
Yeah.
it's like okay, but it's also takes away from seeing stuff like that on screen where the characters like. Spider-Man would just be like, I need to get a lawyer,
Yeah.
or like Matt Murdock's just like, I'm gonna help him because his past. Like, you want to see it on screen. You don't want to just be like, oh, he turned up at his house and they're just having a little powwow.
Yeah.
And then like it's just a bit rubbish.
I tell you what, I think I thought would have been a bit more satisfying is if Charlie Cox's cameo as Matt Murdock had been the post-credit scene.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
then you'd have been like, then you would have left the cinema being like, oh my god, Daredevil canon, that's all canon, it's confirmed, Charlie
Yeah.
Cox was in the
Yeah.
film. I feel like that would have had the desired effect.
Yeah.
So,
Rather
I
than that
don't know how or
fucking
why,
trailer.
but that should have been the post-credit scene.
Yes.
His
It wasn't
cameo.
in a trailer.
Um,
Did you say it was in a trailer?
No, rather than
okay,
that fucking
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I literally just thought that in my
Yeah,
head.
no, that's a good. Yeah,
That would have been a much more
I
satisfying
don't know how, because obviously by
payoff.
that point his parts of it. But yes, they would. I mean, it doesn't matter how they would have. They wrote it. They can make that decision.
He could have, but like it could have just been like he could have. You know, when Peter's leaving the coffee shop at the end.
Yeah.
He could have like been leaving the shop and turned to go, and he accidentally bumps into. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. And then the camera pans up, and it's
and he's like, it's okay. It's like,
because he's blind.
I've actually been looking for you.
Yeah. And
Ironic.
and then people are like, oh my god, I'm so
I'm
sorry, I
blind.
didn't realise you were blind. And then you're like, blind? Wait a minute, blind? Did he say blind?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
the camera tracks up.
Yeah.
And it's him.
Yeah, it's Charlie Cox.
Toby,
Nice.
was it?
There's,
Tom walks off. Tom walks off, and it's just literally like a real. I don't care how cheesy it could turn. It literally his signature move just turned into the cat like where he just turns and it's his face. That'd have been well good. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why do we have to fix these movies? Honestly, this took us 2 seconds to come up with. There's 3 of us sitting in a room, and we came up with something
It's
more,
very much- it
more
is-
cinematic
it's
and
very
more
much-
interesting.
So much better.
I was.
better.
My feeling in this movie was very much. It was a kind of movie of almost 2-3-ish parts with it. I was even there's parts in the movie where things were happening, and I'm going to Stephen. I was like, I can't tell if I'm enjoying this dynamic or if it's just funny or if I like it. I think there's bits where I've managed to like some of it I did generally like. Some of it was funny. Some of it I'm a bit like, okay, that's a funny quip, but why are they doing this? But there was a lot of it kind of me just going. Has Marvel been spoiled so much for me now that I'm just looking for problems? Is it that there was an element of that going on? I had to correct myself on a few things. I went, no, you did enjoy that. I think you're just looking for some problems with it. But there is there's I kept thinking of you at certain points, and we're getting to the points as well. I was literally sitting there like, he's definitely hating this. He's definitely hating this. And so we'll get to it. So yeah, he gets by the thing. We see the news. Obviously, so the whole story now is whether we like it or not. The story is not about his trial with Peter Parker or anything like that, which I think everyone was expecting and would have kind of had a nice dynamic. I think.
Yeah.
It's him being Spider-Man and everyone knowing that's the story and how it affects everyone else and around him and that, which is good. And I feel like it did get us to see. I mean, it's not like Tom Holland's been a selfish Spider-Man, but we really got to see the Peter Parker in this one. Like, we saw him make some really tough decisions. There was some really stupid shit happened. And you're a bit like, even like, I get it's the story and they acknowledge in the story that it was stupid. We're almost like, but then...
Maybe don't write
maybe
it like
have
that.
it in the first place. And like, if you know it's that dangerous, maybe double check everything with him first and then start the spell.
Yeah. I liked that he... because
But then that's how we got there,
like
so
that,
I don't
that
know.
he that he goes. The reason he goes to Doctor Strange and wants him to do the spell is because he is for MJ and Ned.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
doesn't-
no,
he-
absolutely.
Because in the trailer, it's just implied that he does it for
'Cause he doesn't-
himself.
yeah, exactly,
because
yeah.
He doesn't want anyone to know he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Whereas in the film, it's more okay.
It's all about them.
It's a bit
Yeah.
more selfless.
Yeah.
He's doing it for them so they can get into MIT.
Yeah, that was a good
Just
thing.
quickly,
I liked that.
jump just before going to the Doctor Strange. The way they got the Doctor Strange thing was one of the most forced fucking things. That's probably the last line. I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. And like the Christmas, like, oh, we need him to remember about Doctor Strange. Can't he just remember about Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
No, we want to see something visual
Yeah.
that reminds him of Doctor Strange. You're like, okay,
Because
well,
MJ
it's-
hasn't taken
what
the
about if
Halloween
there was
direction.
like,
Yeah.
I saw these
decorations down.
wizard lights that I had up in my thing for Halloween. It's like, oh, Halloween was ages ago. What if they didn't take decorations down
Yeah.
and make a thing of it? It's like,
Also, the decoration looks so much like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if I was
it was
Doctor Strange,
literally-
I'd be suing for image
yeah,
rights,
exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
why wouldn't he just?
maybe they were.
Why
I think they
wouldn't he
probably
just
were.
think
if you
in his
they were
head,
brand,
oh,
aren't
Yeah.
they?
I know. I'll go visit Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
friend who I know.
That's
Why couldn't
probably
he just
how
be
it would
walking-
happen in the comics.
Why,
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man. He swings across the... He could have been swinging and just saw the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't need an explanation.
No.
It should just
He
cut
could
to
have
him
just been
turning
going
up,
to Doctor Strange.
turning up outside his house.
Yeah.
Didn't need a reminder.
Hmm.
But yeah. The spell going wrong thing because Peters keeps like
Changing his
asking him
mind.
to. I mean, I'd have just been like,
So as soon as
What is that about?
he added Ned, who was it? It was MJ and then Ned, wasn't it?
yeah,
And then May and then Happy. But anyway, as soon as he said the second person, if I was Doctor Strange, I'd have gone, right, okay, let's shut this down.
Yeah.
yeah. You'd have been like, look, kid, I can do this for you, but I can't keep. You
So
can't
just
pick
stop
and
the
choose.
spell.
It's either everyone or no one.
Yeah.
Make your mind up.
Yeah, just stop the spell and we're done. And, but
You're
no, he
more
just
like
kept-
Doctor Strange than I thought.
Yeah, but I
Because
am,
you're just
actually.
like, right, you're having everything or nothing.
Yeah.
You just come on, just make your mind up. Come on,
Yeah.
fuck it.
I
suppose
I
am.
do like this. And I never thought of it really before because I don't think they had much. Obviously, Infinity War they had a bit of back and forth thing, but I like the Spider-Man Doctor Strange dynamic. I think they've got a cool little relationship.
Well,
They're
it's,
back and forth.
it's an MCU Spider-Man film, so you can't possibly have him deal with all his problems and the threat by himself. He has to have an older mentor,
Yeah.
helping him every step of the way.
I mean,
First
Toby
he had Iron
Maguire.
Man, then
Toby
he had
Maguire always
Nick
has an older
Fury.
mentor in his.
Who?
So he's got in the first one, it's Norman, and in the second
Right.
one, it's Otto.
So the first one, it's Norman who becomes a villain, tries to kill
yeah,
him.
but he still has that figure
in the
his
second
life.
one, it's Otto who.
I mean,
becomes
they only
villain
have a
and tries
few
to kill
scenes.
him.
They don't like
he
work
still wants
together.
he still has those figures in his life that he's drawn to.
Yeah,
He's still
who
there.
turned bad and tried to murder him.
Yeah, I know, but he's still the figures. There.
Whereas Tom Holland Spider-Man has like Iron Man and Nick Fury
He's got a
and
whole team.
Doctor
Yeah, but they are, at
Strange.
the same time, though, he's
helping
in the
him the whole
MCU.
way.
It would be silly. I would be more annoyed if he wasn't using them because they do exist. So it would be if you're like, because one of the most frustrating things about the comics in general with Marvel and DC stuff, like you're like, especially Marvel where it's all set in New York generally. You're like,
Yeah.
when a big thing happens,
Yeah.
I'm like, and Spider-Man's, or any of them are like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. It's like, go ask Iron Man. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
he'll
know.
help.
And
or why does
and
everyone hate you, but they
you're-
like the Fantastic
And you're
Four?
right.
It's a bit-
If they, you're right. They
superheroes are okay, but mutants are not. But they're the same thing.
But they
It's-
shot themselves in the foot with that because they have to include them or references to them, and if they don't, then people will say, "Well, how come Iron Man didn't just show up?" And
yeah,
say
exactly.
that?
No,
But
yeah.
at it just.
But the
like,
solution is not have the MCU.
but it's
If you're
just
going to bring
like,
him in,
at no point in any of these films does it feel like he's in any credible danger or anything anything really. Anything that happens can just be reversed or changed or
but
there's
another
no
thing that I feel
consequence.
like that's probably a feeling that they've had,
Mm.
and they did jump into it. They have sort of fixed that.
Yeah.
They have definitely. I feel like by the end of this movie, they gave us some of the Marvel stuff, but by the end of this movie, they got us to the point that I feel like a lot of people were frustrated and wanted to be at from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
It's
I
like it's
thought
almost
that
this
too.
movie. We didn't realize that we were watching the first bit of the Spider-Man journey.
Yeah.
We've been watching post Uncle Ben, pre Uncle Ben, the whole time. We just didn't realize. I don't think there was ever an Uncle Ben. I think the idea is there wasn't an
Yeah,
Uncle Ben.
there was.
There was an Uncle
Yeah,
Ben.
because they announced that animated cartoon freshman year that they're doing, and it's all about
and it's canon to
the MCU.
MCU
Yeah.
because so far the cartoons.
But Uncle Ben's going to be in it, I think.
The cartoons have all been separate so far. They'll have a cartoon for every
have they?
film. Every film. Oh no, but you know what I mean. A different universe. But
Yeah, anyway, whatever.
but yeah,
It's Marvel,
So
so
this,
whatever.
yeah, so this, but so it does feel like that with this movie they've confirmed it's like okay, the reason he's not this or had this tragedy, it's like because he hasn't had it yet, and you're kind of like, oh, okay. So up until now, we've just been watching 2 movies worth of what was done in the first 10 minutes of the other movies, which is kind of frustrating. But then I'm like, okay, you've fixed it too. I do feel like by the end of this movie, we are where a lot of people wanted to be, like with the Spider-Man movies. I say people like, I'm not going to speak for you, but like, by the end of this movie, he's more closer to be what a Spider-Man movie you want to see. Like you said, you want him to be on his own. And
Well,
like,
that's the end of the movie. We're at the start
he's
of
not
the
got
movie
super
here,
suits and
so,
stuff. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but no, it tied into what you were saying. But yeah, so
the
he's
spell.
done Doctor Strange, done the spell,
Yeah.
which didn't happen in the end. It just gets shut down, sort of thing, because everything nearly implodes because Doctor Strange apparently doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then he says that I like that he gets kind of told. But this problem is I feel like it was all done for the quippy line from MJ. But she is right in the whole like you keep making out like this is Peter's fault, but you did it kind of thing like that. And I get that, but I don't like how much Doctor Strange is still just like fuck's sake, kid, you really fucked up here. And it's like, no, mate, you fucked up.
You're
here.
the one with the magical
You did the magic.
powers.
You knew how
Yeah,
it worked. He's
I mean-
he's a 16-year-old boy, and you've given him a solution. If I at 16, I went, Dad, I need you to do this, and there's more complications to it, and my dad goes, okay, we'll do that. And then as it's going on, I'm like, oh no, but it needs to be this, and my dad's getting frustrated. It's my dad's fault to a point to go, oh, actually, no, it's not that simple. We need to do this and this. There's this to it and this to it and this to it. If he's just gone, yeah, we'll fix it and this is how we're going to fix it, I go, cool, I'll leave you to it. And that's the thing. It's that kind of like.
I mean,
there's a shared blame.
There is
here.
a shared responsibility,
and Stephen Strange doesn't really take too much.
I feel like the line could have been said to Stephen Strange maybe instead of Peter, with the whole like with great power comes great responsibility, because he took no responsibility whatsoever after his big power.
No, I don't think he should have said that line.
You don't think they should have said the line?
No, I don't think he should have said that line at that point in the film.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, his
think
whole
he was
attitude
just
afterwards. His
But
whole attitude afterwards was very.
Also, even with Peter's constant sort of interruptions and whatnot, I still find it hard to believe that Doctor Strange would like allow himself to get distracted enough to make a mistake.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like a super powerful being who can cast. You know, like the end of Endgame.
Yeah,
it was like there was like flying warships and whole armies coming through.
The amount of portals he had open.
He
is
can
insane.
do all that, but he can't cast one simple spell with a little annoying fucking.
And to be honest, a simple spell
yapping in his ear.
That you could obviously it's a multiversal thing and it ended up in multiversal. So obviously it was a bigger spell than thing, but a simple spell that he is literally in the scene before expressed how small the spell is.
Yeah, he explains like, oh, they did it
for a party.
Yeah, they did it for everyone.
This is such a simple spell for him to do that he's probably done a million times.
Such an MCU thing to say as well, isn't it?
It's like, oh, okay, we can do that, and then
and the whole plot of this movie
revolves around
the fact that he got a bit distracted casting this simple spell.
Doctor Strange is basically the whole film is based around the most unincompetent character being incompetent.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Do you know the idea is at the end of Doctor Strange, that bit with Dormammu? Have you seen Doctor Strange?
Yeah, once.
Do you know the idea is that was 1,000 years? When he went up and does the time loop, the idea is the theory is there's about, there's about thousands of years went by with that loop. I mean, that, and the reason Doctor Strange got so good and so powerful in such a short amount of time, by the end of the movie, it was a bit of a vehicle to get him where he needed to be, and he just knew it. It's because he basically spent 1,000 years practicing against Dormammu, even though only minutes went by.
Right, yeah.
So he literally is the most competent understanding of that. Like, he can look into the future and look at all possibilities, and the whole
most
film,
competent wizard they have.
Most competent. Yeah, he might be more competent than the Sorcerer Supreme before him.
Yeah.
Than that one before, because she had a few. But you're kind of like, he wouldn't make the mistakes that you made. Like,
the ancient one.
Exactly.
The ancient one, and then instead, this whole movie is based around the idea that, but what if the unincompetent guy was suddenly incompetent? It's like,
again, such an MCU thing to do.
It is a very MCU thing to do.
They're just like, it is that formula of like, our characters are highly intelligent until we need them not to be.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's just infuriating.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we'll undo it in a bit of dialogue afterwards. Yeah. Like, I forget you're a kid sometimes. I'm like, yeah, okay, but you still blamed him for the rest of the movie after that.
Well, I mean, it was half his fault.
I wouldn't even say it's half his fault.
He
absolutely
it is half his
has
fault.
accountability for it.
He's the one who can do magic.
No.
So it's half his fault.
It's
He's talking about Peter.
fault.
Oh,
it's not
half Peter's fault.
No,
like you said, it's a shared blame.
It is a shared blame.
At the most, it's a third. It's mostly Doctor Strange's fault. Peter had no idea what was going on. It was beyond his understanding. He was literally, he's one level, and Doctor Strange went into that spell with the full understanding of what's going on and what can happen, and he didn't communicate it to the kid who has just blind faith in what you're about to do.
Yeah.
When someone that powerful tells you to stop.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, you know, had Peter have kept his fucking mouth shut, the spell wouldn't have gone wrong. So I think they're both equally to blame.
Well, no, but no, the reason Peter didn't keep his mouth shut, Peter was standing back keeping his mouth shut, and then Doctor Strange started explaining the spell while doing it. So Peter's like, oh no, that's not what I want.
Yeah, listen, Sam, Tom Holland isn't like perfect, right?
I'm not saying
he doesn't have sunshine pouring out of his arsehole.
He's absolutely got accountability, but he's just...
It's 50-50.
He can make mistakes.
I wouldn't say 50-50. I'd say it's more Strange.
Of course you
It's
would.
50-50.
No, but literally there's a bit where he's
Tom
like,
Holland
so everyone will
no
forget,
wrong.
and then he kind of in the moment goes, oh no, not everyone. I don't want everyone to forget.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, oh, come on, mate. You knew what he was asking. Like, but yeah, so it was... Yeah, so there's a bit of that, but...
So after a bit of that,
it got to the movie.
After a bit of that, it's he leaves the sanctum sanctorum.
Gets kicked out.
Yeah,
because he didn't even make an appeal. He didn't know he could make an appeal.
again. No, that kind of shows the naivety of and how young Peter Parker.
I was
is.
okay
So,
with that because it does.
so-
Yeah, it was a character device. It's a quickly to show.
Oh,
me
you're
he's-
okay with that?
Yeah, I was all right with that.
Are
Bit.
you sure? Because that's a character flaw.
It's a
of
character
Tom
flaw. Yeah,
Holland's Spider-Man.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man is flawed. Okay, we've
Is he?
acknowledged this. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. Wow. Okay.
and
It's the first movie he's had character development. It's his third movie.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well.
and through some, impeccable ingenuity, he finds the MIT administration's
Or he's got his Stark
officer.
suit, fixed everything.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
exactly.
but then it says it's offline, doesn't it?
I mean, he finds out her location and then just goes from car to car.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, it's not as if like New York's like one of the most densely populated cities on Earth.
I got in a moment got really pissed off and immediately went right back down when I thought he was flying.
Well, why not? I mean, he's fucking Iron Man now.
No,
so
the webbed
why
gliders
not?
is absolutely a Spider-Man thing, so that's fine. But when he came, I was like, "Are you serious? Is he just flying with his Spider-Man suit, not his Iron Man suit?"
Where's the limitations?
Exactly,
Then
exactly.
What's the point in them?
Again,
They should have had a scene where he flies up into space and like does like a loop round Saturn and then comes back again.
Turn-
or loops
Why
around
not?
the world to turn back,
Back
time.
time.
Yeah,
I was
why
gonna
not?
say,
Why
yeah.
not?
Superman.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but
Yeah, well, I again,
Ridiculous.
I don't know why this happens to me, but it might just be like my cynical brain, the cynical.
I
Part
mean, it
of
always
nice.
100% is. But
it's
they-
living with
but-
me. I've
I don't think
I've
so.
been planted-
Honestly,
He's-
Sam knows.
He's always been a cynic.
Sam knew
He's
me
always
before
been a-
you
No,
did, so
you knew me before he knew you. He was always a cynic. By the way, what you're about to say, 100% is because you're a cynical brain. But whenever you do say things, there is absolutely a point there. So
him just randomly find it. I know he went car to car, but honestly, the luck of him not just missing the woman and the luck of him just like looking at about 10 cars and her just being in that particular point on the bridge and
it's just
before,
very
Yeah.
film,
and I'm
isn't it?
just
Very
like
Hollywood
that's
film.
very kind of like just infinitely lucky so that the movie can happen.
It's
you know?
Yeah.
literally, it's like, so
So
he's
the
gonna go.
movie can happen.
So he's gonna go car to car and find that photo. That's gonna be so hard for him. Actually, it would be super easy,
Yeah.
barely an inconvenience.
Why would he do that? Because
Because the movie needs
Because
to
the
happen.
movie's got to happen.
yeah, and I mean, and if that's not the only sort of big coincidence of the film, it then just so happens that that's exactly where the first of our villains also just happens to appear and be on the bridge.
Bizarre, innit? Didn't know who we were gonna get.
And also, I don't know if you guys felt this, but
This is when
we
it
we
started
never
for me.
saw them appearing.
Arrive, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was just the idea is they've all just. We
Like-
didn't even see what happened. I think maybe Venom, which is again not even in this thing, but Venom gave us an idea of probably what happened.
Yeah, there was like a
Just
a bounce.
It
or
just
something.
Yeah,
shifts
a
up and they're
light.
suddenly there.
But we never just we didn't actually. They were just sort of around.
Yeah,
There was no like arrival.
yeah,
as
yeah,
you
yeah.
said, Liam.
It was a bit
Yeah.
odd. It was a bit odd.
And also,
way to do it.
how and why was Doc Ock happened to be on that bridge at the same time? Why was he there?
Or no, this was a little while after. Like Peter's gone away, spoken to Flash, put a suit on, gone to it. Like the idea is he's arrived about an hour or so, a bit before. We don't know where he was.
Well, right, but so why was he on the bridge then? Why had he gone to the bridge?
Because he was
What was he there
trying
for?
because he was tracking Peter Parker somehow.
How?
I don't know.
It
But
doesn't
yeah,
I don't get it.
he was after Spider-Man. That's why he was there on the bridge, because he was after Spider-Man. But how did he know
How
Spider-Man
did he know
was on the
Spider-Man
bridge?
was there?
I don't know. Did he see him swing past?
I mean,
Again, it would have just
Yeah.
a bet to what we were saying about Daredevil thing. Just a scene where he's appeared, he's confused, and he just sees Spider-Man swing past.
You just need one explanation.
and then we know he's tracking him. That will tell us he's tracking him.
You just need one explanation as to why, or how they got there. You know, like what it looks like,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh, okay, then I can
Well,
imagine what it was like for all the
Are we
rest of
supposed to
them.
assume that helicopter and stuff has a live feed going on in the city?
That's all too thinking about it way
it?
too
Exactly.
intricately.
Well, I mean, if it would have made, I say made sense. It's all ludicrous, really, but it would have made more sense if the villains, let's say they appear through one of those circle thingies, or
No, that wasn't. Sorry, that wasn't Toby and that wasn't people coming in. They were already in.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just say that they come out of something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
some sort of
You know, like
portal.
not to go too far towards the end, but you know when the cracks in the universe.
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's say there's a crack, and
Yeah.
they come out of
Yeah.
they come out of that.
Like-
But what it would have made more sense for me is if the cracks appear purposefully wherever Spider-Man is. So therefore, that's why they come out at that particular place, because that's where Spider-Man is. They're like drawn to him automatically.
Yeah.
No,
Does
the
that
idea
make
is they all
sense?
came in at the same time, and they were just
Yeah,
scattered all over.
that was
Yeah,
overly.
they were just
Scattered all
hanging
over.
around.
That was overly ambiguous. I thought about the film. I was just like, why is Doc Ock here particularly?
Yeah.
Then why
Then the Green
later on
Goblin.
in the scene is Green Goblin in the
Yeah.
same place?
How does he know? Why? How does he know to go there?
I think it's. I agree. It's overthinking it. I think the most logical thing is that they saw him on the helicopter cam.
Yeah.
And they went. That's where they knew who he was and went there. But we shouldn't be
I don't
thinking
even
about
think
that.
that's.
So we don't need
I mean,
that.
you know,
factor.
Kids
you know,
aren't going to work that out.
It was
And they've got to be able
it was
to-
a pretty good fight.
I liked it.
Trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fight-
oh, yeah,
A
yeah.
really good fight.
I mean,
I liked the whole 4 arms versus 4 arms thing. That was
Well,
brilliant.
I mean, it wasn't as good as the train fight from Spider-Man 2,
Nowhere
which
near.
is iconic.
no,
but
that's
it was
still,
a decent fight.
That's a hard one. To
It
get
was
the
a good
top one.
battle.
Very good battle. Yeah.
Um,
A lot of the fighting in this was good. I do really,
Yeah.
I really liked a lot. It was all done very. It seemed like there was an element of
Yeah.
less CGI and more doing it.
I
sort
could
of
have had
things.
more.
What, more fighting?
I
yeah?
could have had more.
Okay.
I feel like there was
Went a
quite
bit away
a lot
of-
of standing around making jokes.
They went a bit of the way of Spider-Man 3, less action and a bit more
Yeah.
going on. Okay, yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Whereas,
They were
yeah,
exploring
I
quite
could
a
have,
lot.
I could have done with some more battles.
Yeah, there was a bit too. There was some things that were literally there for this will be funny,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, and then just so many problems with it, like of the how the plan. Like you can see the plan going wrong before it's gone wrong, and you're
Yeah.
like, mate, you're not this stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
So this for me is I'm glad we're up to this scene because it was from here probably for the next half an hour or so onwards. I'm sitting there like, oh, he's definitely hating this. He's hating this dynamic. They're taking his favorite villains and they're putting him in a what you call it, like a reality show. That's basically what they did.
Yeah.
And they're-
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right. I did hate that.
I was like,
Before we get to that,
no, but even before, I was before then with the Doc Ock scene, and it's suddenly like, oh, he's just making a joke out of Doc Ock now. I feel like that. I'm like,
What, when he had
Harry must
control
be
of his
hating
arms?
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm thinking that like, oh no, Doc Ock suddenly he's just gone from one of the most menacing figures to an absolute joke.
To
in
a side,
seconds.
a
He
comedy
definitely hates
sideshow.
this.
He's like the butt
I-
of all the jokes because
Personally,
he's like
I didn't hate it.
restrained.
I wasn't. Oh my god, that was amazing. I liked it. There were some okay jokes. It went on too long. I'd rather he'd beaten him rather than what actually happened. But I wasn't. It didn't ruin it for me. But what ruined it a bit for me was your voice in my head trying to convince me.
Well, I'm
that it
glad.
was
I'm glad
terrible.
that I somehow
You've
managed
made
to
your
ruin
place. You were one of the
scene
voices
for
now.
you
You're one
without
of the
even
voices.
speaking.
You're one of the voices now.
Just my presence alone can ruin movies.
you don't have to be there. The voice is there.
that's
the voice is there in every movie
that's
I
the
watch.
next level. That is.
Every movie I watch now, it's his was already there. Your voice is now one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
You just hear my voice in your head going, for fuck's sake.
It's that. It was exactly that. I'm like, oh shit, sorry, Harry.
So through Doctor Strange portal shenanigans,
Yeah.
they capture Doc Ock. You know, Doc Ock he rips off a bit of Spider-Man's suit, and the nanobots instantly take to the villain's armor or these arms, which
Which does make sense.
I mean, is fucking dangerous as shit. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. Like,
No, I
why
thought-
they wouldn't just then go back on the suit?
Yeah.
No, but when they went on the arms, when I thought it was, so they'll just go onto any AI thing and become that thing's.
That is just dangerous as
But
shit.
they didn't. No, but it wasn't that. They were taking over the arms.
Oh, okay.
That's what they did. That's what they did. They went onto the arms to reprogram them to the
Still,
suit.
still not a good idea.
Because it's a plot device because they need to incapacitate him because otherwise he would just cause chaos.
I don't get why they did it so anticlimactically. I
Mm.
don't get why, because if he'd beaten him, I don't think that would have been too implausible, right? What happened, but mid-fight. So the way it was resolved anyway, but mid-fight. Where maybe that bit where he's about to stab him with the claw, or grab with the claw, and then it just snap cuts and it's Peter's in the dungeon and Thingy's locked away. That could have been that way. He didn't beat Doc Ock. Doc Ock actually looked like he was going to win, but obviously he doesn't kill the hero halfway through the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and then like say if Doctor Strange had portaled them both.
That's what I'm saying.
Thing,
yeah, that's what
he
happened.
then
anyway.
takes his armor off, and he's just like, "You're not Peter Parker."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Could have done without the whole nanobot attachment shtick.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to include, like the reveal of like Doc Ock seeing Tom Holland's Spider-Man and being
realising
like,
it's not.
and just being like so confused.
Yeah.
But Alfred Molina was his. It's like he hadn't missed a step.
Yeah.
He was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with, because obviously the idea is these guys haven't aged, which was easy for the Lizard because easy for Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx looks
age.
Yeah.
younger.
He looked better than he ever has.
Yeah.
But those two, like they're not like they looked great, were they doing that, just a really good version of what they did with Captain Marvel for Thingy, or did they look good enough that they were able to make up them? They looked like they did back then. Norman looked a little bit older. There was elements of Norman looking a little bit older. I don't think Doc Ock looked much. I think he pretty much looked like how he did then. No, he didn't seem. He didn't have any kind of. The sort of lines you get in your face. If you had that, but I feel like Doc Ock
they
had
definitely both looked older. I don't. I
think it was minimal though.
I
They didn't
don't
look as
think-
older as they are though.
I don't think there was any digital de-aging because
okay.
if there had been, they wouldn't have looked as old as they
Yeah,
did.
okay, that's
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
I
That's
felt
fair.
like both
That's fair.
actors looked older.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Alfred Molina's hair was a bit sort of. It looked smaller, thinner. Whereas
yeah.
he had his hair looked more like Liam's in Spider-Man 2. It was like
Yeah, it was
thick,
a full.
wavy and thicker.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, his hair was quite flat.
Yeah, it was probably a bit more traditional Doc Ock. Which
Yeah.
is ironic.
It was
Yeah.
like someone had looked at the the footage and just made a wig, but the proportion was just a bit off.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, I've made it like a size too small for his head.
Yeah. Which is actually again a bit more on brand with Doc Ock's
Yeah.
hair anyway. So that kind of it. But
yeah.
So then we got there, and then Lizard's already caught.
Yeah, Doctor Strange has obviously fought the Lizard and put him in one of the.
Yeah, and he looks like he
one
was
of
a bit
cells.
worse for wear for it because he's holding his chest and stuff. So he's obviously had a fight off screen that would have been amazing to see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
it would have
like.
been great,
I would
yeah.
have loved to see that scene, but okay.
And then who's next? Electro.
He goes to after. This is the point where Doctor Strange explains to him what's happening, what's happened, what's going to need to be done, and gives him the magic device that fixes everything
of course. Yeah.
The MacGuffin.
that attaches to his
The
suit.
MacGuffin box.
I mean, to be fair, again, the argument in that sake is Doctor Strange has got these things, so that's a bit more. I'm sort of more okay with that with the magical Spider-Man suits that fix everything. I'm more okay with Doctor Strange's device thing. If it had been the first time introducing it, I probably wouldn't have had that fatigue of, oh great, another fixing device. It would have been like, oh okay, yeah, that makes sense. You need that. I don't know how else he'd get them here really, so that's okay. But yeah, so he goes because they are him, MJ, and Ned, because they're his team in the chair, and they're all super clever teenagers. Are able to just do better than Doctor Strange, by the way, who knew who Thor and Loki were, knew where Odin was when Thor didn't, and knows about everything about Loki. Needed 3 teenagers to find something that's giving off energy that he should definitely be able to sense. And he just leaves it to the teenagers.
Again,
The teenagers who he holds responsible, one of them holds responsible for the whole thing happening anyway. It's like it's a little bit, the movie had to happen. Well, the movie had to happen.
Yeah, it's with that.
Teens,
again,
aren't teens smart with the internet now? Can't you do everything?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, of course they can.
wow, yeah, no.
no.
Also, Doctor Strange, age-wise in this universe, not that much older than us. So, kind of, I'm a little bit like, he's in his late 30s, early 40s. I'm like, that is the age of like people who who grew up with computers and are now
Yeah,
the ones who are
absolutely.
good with the internet.
Well, literally,
You know, I know kids obviously get it a lot earlier, and you know, probably on an uptake are quicker. But I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Doctor Strange's generation. They're the ones who are like, whoa, computer, what's this? Do you know what I mean? So
literally the first movie is about him exploring experiment. I know it's surgery, but that would have definitely crossed over into. He would have had to go
done research.
online and research and like everything. So like he wasn't learning that all from books. Obviously, he probably learned a lot of it from books from what we see in Doctor Strange thing. But like
anyway, yeah, it just
yes,
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense for him
He is
to
that
be
Jack.
like, I'll get. Also, again, going back to something that's already been brought up in this movie, child endangerment. They're not superpowered, so
Yeah.
him bringing them to the Sanctum Sanctorum
Yeah.
is not a good idea.
No, because it's a dangerous place in general.
Yeah, but
What if the gate that was open that let in the blizzard? What if the gate was open and like a creature gets through?
yeah, but they have to be in the film because they're his little gang of perfect,
Yeah, I know.
are completely unflawed,
Teenagers.
know.
good people.
Ned, who's so dumb but so smart, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, but
So-
but no, but okay. So the point of this is, I acknowledge these plot holes. I know, but I was still enjoying the film by this point. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thing. Admittedly, that, as I say, I admit that Doc was a bit anticlimactic, and I've even just said how it could have ended better. But okay, we're going to got to the same place, same thing, and that's what they wanted to do. They made a creative decision. Okay, but this is where I'm starting to like. Okay, this is getting. I like the pace of the thing. Now it goes to Jamie Foxx thing. I feel like they've. One of the things about this movie is Electro was fixed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100% Electro was
He
fixed.
was a good villain in
I
it.
He
really
was a
enjoyed
great
Electro.
villain. He was just so he was menacing
Yeah.
but funny.
Yeah.
He was everything I wanted from a villain.
He was much better. He was one of the highlights for me.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't it was like unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was very
I
absolutely.
thought, all the attention and focus is going to be on Green Goblin and Doc Ock, and the rest of them are going to take a bit of a backseat, which they did.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Lizard
Electro
more than
really stood
anyone.
out.
I know.
Reese Ifans, poor Reese Ifans, with
Yeah.
his
And
incredible
Thomas
acting
Hayden
abilities.
Church.
Yeah,
Getting
but
to
you
say
know,
4
their
lines.
villains weren't great.
We'll get to that bit.
It-
One bit of
it
that
was
did
good, though.
one bit that did disappoint me that I thought was actually really underwhelming again was just like so after the fight with Doc Ock, and then obviously you see Green Goblin for the first time. Honestly, the shots they used, I was just like, they just used like generic CGI quick shot of the Green Goblin,
Yeah.
and then that was it.
Yeah,
You know, like, yeah, you see the pumpkin bomb thing, and then, you know, he comes out from behind a cloud,
yeah,
smoke.
Yeah,
And it's just like a quick shot, and then that's it, you know.
yeah. Green Goblin.
I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
It looked like someone had just, you know,
Taking it from one of the other
photoshopped him in.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what the poster he looked like on the poster anyway.
Yeah, it's exactly what he looks like on the poster, which basically makes me think that, like, they've
That's what
literally
they
just
did.
taken a screenshot of it
Yeah.
and just done a bit of photoshopping.
He's even in the original suit at that point, isn't he?
Yeah,
Wasn't even great CGI for it. You're
No.
like, oh,
it looks a bit terrible.
it looks like it did sort of back then.
And I was,
yeah.
I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. And then but from seeing him and knowing he's there now, a flying guy. They see the report about the flying guy, and that's where they go to look, and it turns out to be Electro
Yeah.
absorbing the grid thing. Yeah, like really good. So I remember at this point, I'm like, okay, we've seen Doc Ock, cool, he's delivered, that's
Yeah.
fine. We've seen little bits of Electro, but he was still not really talking at this point, so it's more just like the way he's fighting. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this fight. It's a really good fight. And then I literally remember Sandman showed up
Yeah.
to help Peter.
Why does completely like
Sandman helped
Why
Sand-
was he there? How did he get there?
Well, same way they all
Again in
did.
the same place.
Same way they all did.
For
Like,
some
it's-
reason.
Yeah, but how did he get to that?
Yeah,
there?
I don't know.
I
He was-
understand how he got. He's in that universe.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean.
How did he get to that specific place?
Was he happened to be in the woods in his universe?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, yeah.
Did he happen to
Did
come
they
through
both
at the
die at
exact
similar
same
places?
point as Electro?
Did they nearly die at similar? Because
No idea.
Anyway,
And they're from two completely different universes.
But I
so
remember-
why would them two be together?
because Electro, yeah, I think they always get paired up as well. But no, so it was like, yeah, okay, so he's coming. Oh, he's a good guy now, and he's helping. And then I remember,
I mean, he does have a bit of a redemption at the end of 3. So
Yeah.
that's why
Again.
I was like, okay, it makes sense for him not to be like, it's Spider-Man, like get him, you know, like
Yeah.
But
he'd
then
be
at the
like,
same time-
oh, I've made peace with
Yeah,
Peter
but he
Parker.
flip-flopped between it way too much.
Yeah, he
I remember
does.
it
Yeah.
happened. He
He
went
does.
back and he was so mean about a bit, and I literally went to turned to Steven and went, "Well, like all the others have been really good in delivering. I think we'd seen them all by this point,
Yeah.
and then he done his first heel turn again, and I literally went to Steven and I went, so he's still shit.
Yeah,
This guy who is
I know.
constantly making
Keeps-
awful bad decisions,
Yeah.
and then his only line saying, "But I'm a good person. I want to go to my daughter." Stop being a dick.
Yeah.
Why are you attacking Spider-Man?
Yeah,
You've got no
it's
investment
annoying.
in
It
this.
does kind of undo, as you said, Liam, the end of 3, because
absolutely.
it was like they'd come to a sort of, you know, I said in the
An
podcast,
agreement.
but it's about forgiveness.
Yeah.
And he'd forgiven him.
Yeah.
And then Sandman had gone, and so you'd have thought, yeah, he'll come back as an ally of
And
Spider-Man
he
in
was,
this film,
for
but
like
then he
5
keeps
minutes.
fucking switching allegiances.
yeah.
It was the way he's literally no, that's the point where he's just helped him, turned up, something like that, sees he's not Peter or something like that, and then like Peter goes to do something and he gets scared to make him do the thing rather than him come back with him, and it's because he doesn't. He just suddenly starts distrusting him. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, man.
Yeah.
Okay, you just don't trust anyone. That's the new thing now, is
I'm
it?
doing the whole of the redemption from Spider-Man 3 on such a flip of a dime of just like, hey, where did you take that other person?
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to explain it to me? No, I do not believe you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god,
You're the
it's so
same guy.
convoluted.
You're the same guy in that last movie. It was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what he was through all that movie.
Yeah,
Just like,
man.
why are you even attacking? And is the idea that he got? So when Green Goblin made that speech about the gods, did that get in? Is that why Flint Marko attacks him? Because he gets in that, and is all he wants to do is see his daughter, and he keeps saying it afterwards. And I'm like, you're a bad person. You should not be allowed access to your daughter.
Yeah.
You've made very bad decisions, and even since then,
You should
keep
be in
making
prison.
the decisions.
Also, I don't know about you two, but I didn't realise that that was Thomas Hayden Church, because they didn't like show him.
He was just in sand the whole time. Wasn't he?
Yes,
Sandworm
and
whole
the
time.
voice for me sounded different. So I thought,
okay.
he obviously wasn't available.
Yeah.
And they've just got a guy to come
Yeah.
in and do a voiceover who sounds a little bit like him.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not showing him in his human form. Because I was thinking, why wouldn't he take his human form?
Yeah.
We know he can do that.
And even the point, obviously, we find out.
Why would in the prison would he just or in the
in the apartment.
in the cell? Yeah, why wouldn't he just be in normal?
Exactly.
I don't think at any point.
So that's
towards
why
the
I
end of the
thought
movie, that he was in.
they hadn't got the actor back.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I thought the same thing about the Lizard.
Yeah, they didn't get.
I thought, Reese
Reese
Fans
Ifans,
obviously
yeah.
wasn't available, so they've got a guy in to do the voice to sound similar to him. That's why, and I thought, that's a kind of and I'd actually thought, I guess that's kind of a clever way of including them without the actors
yeah.
being available. But then the actors are available, so it's like, why
It is
weren't
them.
Why weren't they? Why weren't didn't you know?
I think you did you say that they you know, they could have used either unseen footage or footage from the other
That's
movies.
what I thought, because you know they don't speak.
Yeah.
When we actually see the actors, we only see them for like literally a clip, and neither of them speak. So I thought maybe is that superimposed
Yeah.
from the older
right.
films?
Yeah.
But I did see Reese Fan's name, and I saw both their names in the cast list.
Well,
So they're
obviously,
in it.
obviously,
Yeah.
like because they used the footage and they did voiceover.
Yeah.
So they would be in
Was
the
that
cast
their
list.
voices?
Yeah, of course.
Were
yeah.
they in the suits on set?
So again, but what?
I don't know.
But this is what I mean. So why weren't they used? As
Yeah,
in the
I don't know.
actors, why weren't they used?
It is very bizarre. It's
I
very
just
bizarre.
didn't understand it.
I don't
Maybe they did a kind of, you know, like a kind of Oliver Reed from Gladiator, you know, like because he
Yeah.
passed away,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
just used another clip, but
Yeah, exactly.
but like you know, like they just used it for that purpose.
Yeah.
You know, once Sandman was out of his sand form and was in human form.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
actually, I don't know. Like it looks like when he was
Especially Reese Ifans, but it looks like he's there.
yeah, it does look like
and
that.
then
Very
I thought,
specific
and then
shot,
I thought,
isn't it?
is this supposed to be like or maybe it's supposed to be like a reveal, like, oh look, we do have the actors after all.
But that's a weird reveal.
Yeah, but
they-
it's Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans. It's not-
But they've been doing the voice.
yeah.
yeah.
So it's
I
like,
know.
well, how is that like a reveal? I just didn't get it. Like,
It all just felt a bit odd. It just felt a little bit off, didn't
yeah.
it?
It was almost like they were like, they're like, we can do a whole movie with a CGI character now, and it looks pretty good, so we're going to do it. And it's like,
But don't
Yeah.
don't do it twice.
don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it with both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
So yeah, so basically Sandman's still shit. It just
I just think it's a shame, and I just think, you know, I know they're not the greatest villains, but I just felt like, did Lizard and Sandman need to be in the film?
exactly. Did you need to juggle them? Electro's there, so that's a tie.
Well, and we knew we were getting those three.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
those
yeah.
were the three. Like those three
this is the thing as
actors were.
I was saying to him as
you know,
well.
advertised.
It's what's really awkward is whenever you see the press things and stuff like that. It's just the three.
It's
Yeah.
just the three of them.
They don't, but the other two aren't there.
That was enough, though, for me.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
they carried it really well.
And
It's a nice little
and it would
dynamic.
have, you know, we'll obviously, I'm not going to go into detail because we'll get to it, but it also would have made the end a lot simpler and
Yeah.
harder to follow. So I don't know about you two, because I was like, wait, who's
No,
fighting
I didn't
who?
have-
And,
I didn't have-
you know, if it had been 3 against 3,
Yeah.
it would have been so much more simpler.
Yeah.
in a third Spider-Man movie. Oh, that would have made sense. Yeah, okay.
And it would have made, and it would have worked out as well. Yeah, but no, yeah. Them being, it was a bit.
Yeah, at
odd
one
why
point,
they were
Lizard
in
just
it.
gets left in the van
Because-
because they didn't know what to do with him.
God,
I
we'll
would
get
just-
to that scene. We'll get to that entire part of the movie. But yeah, so they're saying they didn't need to be in it, because the whole point of them being in it to an extent was so that each of them could tell the other you died. But Electro doesn't have anyone there to tell him he died anyway,
Yeah.
because obviously he was the last one.
Yeah, well, he does
Oh,
say.
do you know, does Connors die? Does Connors die at the end of
No,
Amazing
I
Spider-Man?
don't think so.
So he wasn't being sent home to die then. So why?
Well,
would he agree
we're
to the
gonna
whole
get
thing?
gonna get to a bit of that, but
Well, no, we're at that point in the movie. This is where it's revealed. Where,
Neither, well, but neither does Sandman. So it's like, if they're saying, oh, the reason these 5 specific villains got brought through is because they all get killed by Spider-Man. It's like they have a shared fate.
Yeah,
well, they
yeah,
don't though. They don't all get killed by Spider-Man.
no.
Yeah.
So it just makes makes Lizard and Sandman's presence even more
well,
pointless and random.
they are there because they all know who Spider-Man is.
Yeah,
They all know
and they
Spider-Man
come
is Peter
through
Parker.
looking
Sandman,
for him, but-
Sandman arguably had a part because he needed to be the one to confirm Otto died. I don't know how.
I don't know.
they
I
would
don't
have
think that
revealed-
they just included it just for that.
No, but
Yeah.
without Sandman, you could have written it in that the characters maybe realised they died, or you could have written it in another way without having this entire character. But if you were going down the route where each character is revealing the other one died,
Yeah.
Sandman has a sort of place there for it because he's really the only one who could tell Doc Ock that he died. Doc Ock can tell Norman, but no one can tell Doc. But then they probably could have done the whole thing where they worked it out. I remember floating, and there's something where he remembers it. So, but
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I thought that whole
reason.
subplot of like them realizing they're all going to get killed, and then Peter being like, "Oh, we can't send them back to die. Let's try and cure them instead." Like, that whole thing for me was just.
See, I liked it because it's very on brand for Peter Parker. It's cure them, don't kill them.
I felt like they were unnecessarily bogging it down with this subplot about fixing them or whatever.
Well, that was the plot. In the end, it wasn't subplot. It became the plot.
Well, yeah, but the plot could have just been all these bad guys are coming through. We need to catch them and send them back. That's it. We don't need.
No, I like
we don't need the reason.
No, I like the difficult decision element to it. I do like that. That was we got to see him being that part of Peter Parker where he's got to make tough decisions that go against what he wants to do because it's the better thing to do, the right thing to do. I like that. Could they've done it a different way? Maybe then absolutely I still would have able to seen it. But no, I didn't mind that part of the whole cure them, don't kill them because it was very Peter Parker, and we haven't seen that from Tom Holland's one as much. We're making difficult decisions that go against what you want to do the greater good.
But again, you still could have had that without this whole thing about they all die. He still could have been like, oh, maybe we should try to help them. Maybe we could cure
Yeah,
them.
no, absolutely. Oh, sorry,
I mean?
no, sorry. I thought you were saying you didn't like the whole trying to help them bit.
So-
it's the sending them back to their fate thing.
You know.
Maybe don't have a magic button that fixes the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a bit, just about catching them. But May has had the conversation with them, so now once he catches them, he can't just send them back. He has to make sure they're good, sort of thing. Or even like an excellent thing where she's like, okay, he can do the whole same kind of conversations where he's like, oh, but it's not my problem. It'll be their problem
Yeah.
now. And then May just being like, okay, but where you're sending them, they're still people. So maybe you don't want to send them back as they are. Maybe you should send them back fixed. And he'll be like, and eventually get to a point where like, yeah, that's what I should do.
Yeah, but I I know it's.
The death
But doesn't
thing was
that
a
like
bit odd.
change? Doesn't that potentially change? That could potentially change like
Yeah.
time and timelines and events. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but we're never going to see it. Doesn't matter. That's basically the idea.
well, it might not matter to you, but it matters to me.
No, I get it,
my
I get it, no.
beloved Raimi
no, but it
verse.
happened. It still happened.
But my point is,
it just creates a different branch.
if so, let's say he cures Green Goblin, sends him back to Spider-Man 1.
Still dies.
That would then affect the events of Spider-Man 2.
That would be a new branch. So as soon
and
as
then
they
affect
come...
the events of Spider-Man 3.
No, Spider-Man 3 and all that. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 still happened. They're one. It's the whole. You watch the whole Loki video of that. That's one branch. Them in their moment of death coming to this universe has already stemmed a new branch. So now their branch follows them going back and not dying. But this all still happened. But then this has happened as well.
Well,
It's
that's just
multiverse.
ridiculous.
That's what's happening with this.
the
This is their
multiverse,
explanation of the multiverse. There's other branches.
I agree with both. Like that's how it happens. But also, when at the end of the movie they're
So
like,
there's
"Oh,
no
we're
consequences then. This is what I'm saying.
Well, no, there is. People
Like
still
the whole
like,
MCU.
they still died. They still called the people in their universe the way we watched it. But now the idea is there's an infinite amount of possibilities. Another decision was made and something else happened slightly differently. That's a real theory. That's what multiverse thing is. There's a for every decision there is another version whether the other decision was made. It's sliding doors. like the world. Like that's what multiverse theory is. It's fucking the film sliding doors. So it's those movies did still happen. And they happened the way they happened, and the lives. I can't get to it yet, but lives that were lived out still happened to that point. But there is now this new branch created from them being picked up and plucked into the MCU.
There absolutely isn't.
there's
As
it
far as I'm
just
concerned,
it
It's not
feels
canon.
like when
It's all canon now.
this
No,
was
it
a
isn't.
little bit like
bullshit.
So you shouldn't watch those movies and think, "Oh, I know he lives now." You don't. You don't know that because he dies in that movie and he died. That happened. That generally still happened.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. That's the whole idea that they both exist. That's what the whole branches of multiverse and stuff is. It's one exists, but the other one does as well, and they're so separate that those two could meet, but they're different people. It's just that's what it is. One had a consequence, one
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, it's good that there's like a nice, easy, simple explanation.
I mean, it's nice, easy, simple.
That your average cinema goer
Yeah,
can easily digest.
To be fair, it's all been explained before.
Fucking hell.
Like it was explained in Endgame and in
Yeah,
Loki.
but Sam, what if you haven't seen those films? What if you're what if you're just a Spider-Man fan and you haven't seen any of the MCU
Then, yeah,
films?
you are. Yeah, I suppose. You
And
do to
also,
research.
what if you're not like a physicist who knows about
He doesn't have to be a physicist.
ultimate
He
realities
doesn't
and
have to be a
that?
physicist. It was explained in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, but
No,
you
but
know.
I agree. You shouldn't there shouldn't be too much research involved. But at the same time, you can't ignore these things and not put them in because you're playing to that audience member that's not seen anything else. You've absolutely got to reference the things that have already happened. Otherwise, it's just
don't have it in the film. Don't have the Cure plot in the film.
yeah. I thought that
Just
was
send them back.
Yeah,
Fucking
but then
send
there's
them
no.
back.
But then there's no Peter Parker making difficult decisions plot.
This Peter Parker never has to make a difficult
Well, he
decision.
did now. That's good. That's what I like about this movie. He's had to deal with all that now.
Yeah, but he still
he's
you
better
still
for
could have
it.
you still could have had the thing that happens a bit later with the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
You still could have had that, and then Peter Parker he still would have had the moral choice of
Killing him,
act or not
or
act
sending
on
him
it.
back.
So he still has a thing.
Killing him or sending him
That's
back.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That whole they're gonna die and we have to cure them subplot, pointless and overcomplicated,
Okay, I see your point.
and it raises too many questions. Like,
does raise too many
how
questions
does that affect the other
because
films?
because when certain things do happen in this movie, I was just like, okay, you've quote unquote cured them. When you send them back, like, where do you send them back to? Like the same point?
They're going to die. Yeah, you send them back to the same
Yeah, but
point.
just with no powers. All right, so they just.
But they'll just stop fighting.
Yeah, but with Doc Ock, he just dies. He just drowns.
No, this is the point before he pulls off, has that conversation with Peter. It's while he's still Doc Ock.
Right. Okay. So
I think the idea with both
in
of them-
certain situations, like the Green Goblin, he gets killed by his glider.
Yeah, so it's before then. It's obviously a point before he's dead.
Yeah.
Does the Green Goblin doesn't?
If it was in the middle of the fight, he'd go back into a fight and he could probably still die. Like
No, because he won't be killed. He won't fight anymore. He won't. Try
all
and
of
kill
this,
Peter.
all of this that you're saying, Sam, is not explained.
No, I know, but it's
And we're guessing.
Yeah.
we're guessing.
here.
Yeah, but that's a lot of what. But that is part of a movie thing as well. There is like you do theories.
The whole way through the film, I was just like, right, you're curing them for why? For what?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's because, that's a nice thing to do. Like, you want to help people. Okay,
Yeah,
get it.
it's help, not
But then
fear.
you're just going to ship them back to their universe where, like, they were a villain. They just, I know they get to live.
And also,
but also, like, if they were plucked out in the middle of a fight or a middle of their death, they're going to go back and die anyway.
No,
They
because he
also-
won't kill him.
They don't want to be cured.
He
They don't
didn't kill
ask
him.
to be cured.
None of them.
They don't
killed
want to
him.
lose their powers.
So they go to the house and
That's
they're-
just a whole load of plot.
yeah,
problems.
they go to Happy's apartment.
Why is Lizard left in the van? That's insane.
Yeah.
Why does he bring them to the flat? Why doesn't he do the whole thing in the dungeon with them still behind
Exactly,
their
yeah.
cages?
Doctor Strange is, they have Spider-Man and Doctor Strange have a fight prior to this, which
Oh, yeah.
is
I
like, the
forgot about
CGI is quite
That was a great
impressive
fight.
and
I
it was
did
a
like
really
that
good fight.
I really like that fight. I don't like
Um,
that magic can be fixed by I feel like the mirror dimension should be more complicated than geometry.
Yeah, Spider-Man working it out because he's a math
The
genius
whole,
is a
especially
bit like
that whole thing in Doctor. I mean, supposedly this can tie into it. I don't think it does. Where the Ancient One is explaining to Doctor Strange that maybe you're only seeing you're only seeing part of the picture. I don't think
I don't think the rest of that picture is math.
it's it's a bit. I'm a bit okay, but like it was a good fight. It was a very good fight.
Yeah.
Subjectively, it was a good fight. I did enjoy it.
Again, just visually impressive. We watched it in
Yes.
IMAX, so
Yeah, it was.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
this is just
It was
showing
very,
off
very
exactly
good.
what that can do.
very,
Yeah,
very good.
that's true.
Yeah.
So he ties him up a bit and takes his sling ring, and just leaves Doctor Strange all webbed up in there
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the mirror dimension, and it's a nice, convenient way to just get rid of Doctor
Doctor
Strange
Strange.
when they need it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Can't he get out of those restraints? I didn't quite understand.
just
that.
webs.
I think the idea is that we all know he's going to get out of those restraints.
Yeah.
It's just how long.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
literally it.
and couldn't he immediately come back?
No, the only reason he managed to come back is because Ned accidentally opened the portal to let him out.
Right. Okay. So he was trapped.
He was trapped until someone went and got him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
So if that was the case, like we were, saying, surely that they could have just, whilst they were there, just still kept them in the cells in the prison, but then done what they were doing in the plot.
it was
and
literally a
trying
big movable
to.
box that Spider-Man could lift. They could have brought the box to the dungeon, done everything in the dungeon, let them out one at a time.
Yeah,
Maybe don't let the guy out and come to the apartment with you that literally says the sentence, okay, I don't want to die, we'll do this, but as soon as it goes wrong, I'm going to fry you from the inside.
Yeah.
Maybe go, oh mate, you're going to stay here, actually.
yeah, you're going to
Right,
stay
yeah,
in your
yeah,
cell.
yeah.
Yeah,
You'll go last.
Yeah.
You'll go
Yeah.
last. Or the lizard that hasn't agreed to a single word of any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, like, he's literally...
We're going to leave him downstairs in a
Yeah.
van.
The
Yeah.
lizard that has said
Unattended.
the odd line, said about how he's a superior race, and then glared at you the whole time. Maybe don't leave him in the van on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe don't leave him there to just get out.
Why did the lizard stay in the van for so long? What was he waiting for? That's so bizarre. He was waiting for I'll wait till it kicks off. That's the best. He was. Is the
don't
lizard?
know.
So is the lizard got dramatic flair? Is that what he is? He's a
Yeah.
victim of.
He hears things kicking off upstairs. It's like, and now it's the
He went-
lizard's time to show.
Yeah, I won't kick off yet. I'll wait for the right moment.
I literally can't think of an explanation
No,
other than they
it's bizarre.
maybe saving a bit of money on.
Why does he bring
on effects.
Doc Ock?
Yeah,
Obviously,
literally.
he's got how he's got him restrained. He's got Doc Ock restrained. There's no issue there. So yeah, maybe have him let out. But at the same time, he's not helping you build any of this.
Yeah.
Keep him
No,
in his cell.
yeah.
The only one that
Yeah.
needed to be out of his cell is Norman, and then he's only got to keep
Yeah,
an eye on
because he's
Norman.
a scientist.
Yeah,
And he helped
he's
him.
pretending to be.
But he did need Norman.
Good.
We know that he needed. There was a very much clear that I
Mm.
don't think he'd have been able to do that without Norman. Although would he? Because it's very much seemed like Norman's like, "You're brilliant, kid." Like that. Maybe he would have done it on his own.
Mm.
It's a bit. And Ned
Well, of
has
course
some
he would have.
competence,
He's
doesn't
perfect. He can do anything.
he? Well, I've never said it.
Jumping back just for one moment.
Yeah.
The scene. So there's a scene in the movie where, after the Green Goblin is shown, there's a shot of Green Goblin in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Where,
Oh, yeah,
where,
with
where he's hiding the glider, and he kind of talks to the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Golluming like
A nice
usual.
A nice
glad,
callback.
I'm glad we did follow
yeah.
him.
I did like that. It was a bit weird because they CGI'd Willem Dafoe's head on another person's body
Oh,
Did
why?
they?
because I don't know why.
Is he not able to crouch that way?
Maybe not. It looks
But then
it
did he
looks
need-
fucking odd.
Did he need to be crouching that way?
No.
This is what annoys me sometimes when they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have to CGI it because Will can't move that way."
And
Like,
also-
he can't be that crouched anymore. Okay, so let's write the scene so he's not crouching,
Yeah.
rather than
He breaks the mask, like gets rid of the mask, does a little weird run away. I thought it was a really odd scene. I liked the fact that obviously he still got that
Yeah.
the goblin, and he still does the back and forth.
Yeah.
Again, the golluming.
But there was some weird bits in it. Yeah.
But it was just so uncinematic. It was just so just middle of the day, middle of an alley.
I think the
Dry.
whole point
Yeah.
of that scene was to get rid of the mask.
Yeah,
Just so
it was to show us that he'd taken control back.
Yeah.
For now.
yeah, I guess.
because because they wanted to have him later with the purple hood and not with that mask. I think the whole point of that scene was to smash the mask.
That's the thing. Yeah, they absolutely done the right decision and made a better costume.
Yeah.
But,
What? I don't think the costume was better.
I don't like the mask.
You don't like the mask? Oh,
I like
do.
the rest of the costume. I think we've had this conversation. But I like there's a nostalgia element to when I see the Green Goblin. I don't go, oh, fucking Mark. But in reality, but if I'm subjective, I don't like the costume.
Well, I think
because of the
I
mask.
think because it's Willem Dafoe,
Yeah.
and he's so fucking
Exactly,
scary looking anyway.
exactly.
That's true.
We've
You
said
can
this.
get away with him not
Yes.
having a
yeah.
mask.
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
needed it in the
He's a
film
good
in the
enough
first
actor
place.
with his face that
Yeah.
he should be portraying
yeah.
it like
in
that.
I think in the comic books, the idea is it's literally a the sort of masks you put on and then fit your face, and it moves with his face.
Right.
Obviously, it's a comic book thing, so that technology might not even not necessarily exist. But the point is, it's still like it's like a mask like that, but it's still an animated face. And I think the problem with it was, I would love to have seen that scene on the rooftop in one with Will Dafoe's seeing his emoting with his face
Yeah.
rather than talking through the mask. I think
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I don't like the mask.
Because in that scene, you can see his eyes.
You can
Yeah.
see
like,
his
very
eyes,
emotive just with
and
his
he's
eyes.
such a good actor that you can
Yeah.
almost see his face without seeing his face.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, why have they covered up Will Dafoe's face? That's
Yeah.
sort of like why did you cast him as the Goblin and then he's not going to see his Goblin face as much sort
Yeah.
of thing.
See, I like the suit. I know it's very Power Rangers, but
Yeah, I like it
the
as
suit.
well.
You like the
So-
mask? I'm not
Yeah,
a big
so
fan
it's two
of the helmet. I like the rest of the
stories.
suit. I like the suit. I'm just not big. I thought it was a bit. I like even the design of the helmet. I like it. I just feel like they oversized it. It just seemed a bit weird.
Yeah, it
while
might
they
be
did
right
it.
there. Yeah.
But,
It's a
yeah.
bit too
Maybe a
big.
bit more proportion to his head would have been a bit. Or I could have done with less of this.
I didn't think it mattered too much though. Like,
But no, absolutely, because he's still one of my favourite
Yeah.
villains ever.
It didn't
ever.
bother me
Like you've
that
said
he
it
didn't
before,
have
like
his mask.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
no, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So things go wrong with this whole using Stark tech to cure the villains angle that's going down on the condo.
Because now he's cured. As soon as Otto says that line to him, I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Poke the thing that's about to die. That's what you want to do. You want to give the thing that can take over at most occasions. You want to put it into a corner and point out that it's about to die." And that
Who's he
He
talking
talks to Norman and goes, "You're going to be normal again." Or
Oh, okay.
literally, knowing they must have some understanding at this point that knowing that the Goblin's listening, the Goblin, if ever they were going to push through, it's going to be the moment before
Right,
they
I
die.
see what you mean. Yeah.
They cornered the man.
fair
Yeah, they
enough.
cornered the beast. Literally.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. Like where you basically just prodded Norman to try and to get jab at him, and you've pierced through, and the goblins come
Yeah.
out.
Just literally. When,
I liked the twist that that Norman was just acting all along, and that
Oh no, he wasn't all along. He was Norman. In that moment, he turns into Norman. He turns into the Goblin.
No, he was the goblin the whole time. He says it. He says a line. He's just like.
No, he says, "I was watching you from behind Norman's eyes while you took advantage of him." So when he's with May and all that, he's Norman.
No, I just thought he was just doing an act.
He says a line. He says, "Well, he goes I saw while she guilted you into, and then how you convinced him, manipulated him, and tricked him. I was watching you."
I thought it was implied that he was just pretending the whole time.
No, he was Norman up until the point where Otto said that line. That was for the trigger. That's why that line's in it.
Okay, well, in that case, I take back what I just said. I don't think that was good then.
No.
Well, thank you. You've just ruined it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I thought, but then it does. Okay, but then why does he just randomly turn back into Norman then? What did he need a cure for?
No, because he's constantly. We've seen in the movie. He's fine. He needs a cure, so he's not constantly having an internal battle. So he can just be Norman.
That doesn't happen in
This
Spider-Man
thing's constantly
1.
trying to push through. It's always trying to push through. That's why he zones out and becomes the Goblin when something bad happens. He gives up and lets the Goblin take over. He'd rather not have a constant internal battle about the decisions he would make. So that's why he needs the cure.
Right. Well, I thought it was very clever
That he was the goblin the whole time.
He was pretending to be good the whole time.
Oh, I never got that.
And then
maybe I don't know.
But if that isn't the case, then that was shit.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like it. Norman pushed through for a bit, but the Goblins. Just the idea that even when Norman's Norman, the Goblin's completely aware. He's there and he's watching.
I didn't like that. Well, in that case, I didn't like any of that. I thought he was pathetic and wimpy.
Well, he is. He's a man.
Honestly,
on the edge of it. He's just.
It was rubbish.
Imagine how you would be if you're constantly having an internal battle with your mind with a psychopath. Literally, you're just constantly fighting this psychopath that's stronger than you and stronger willed.
How do you know that I'm not? That isn't happening to me.
No, it happens to me on a daily basis. But I mean, on a level that is. Where it's a different thing trying to push through.
Yeah,
it would be exhausting. He would be a bit pathetic, and I think he was sad.
Honestly, when he turns up,
because Harry wasn't there, he was sad.
When he turns up at Feast and Aunt May's there,
yeah,
and he's just like chilling with her. I literally that was probably one of the first points where I was like, oh,
yeah, same.
Because this film is just
thought,
I'm not gonna. I don't want to.
What? So Norman Osborn's a homeless man now?
Yeah.
Well, he is. Yeah. No, his house. He said to me, he went to his house and someone was living there.
I just was just like, this is just so unepic.
I thought it was clever when I thought he was pretending.
He might be pretending.
If he wasn't pretending, then
we'll do a I'll look out for it. I'm going to definitely. That is something I will be noting for the rewatch.
Yeah, I was just
because
like,
I'm unsure now.
Because we know the Goblin can do that. Because at the end of 1,
the
Goblin doesn't he pretend to be good? Peter,
absolutely.
Peter, it's me.
I thought it was more of the same.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah,
maybe
I thought he was pretending.
We've literally, we could have. As I say, we both come out with this different thing. It could actually be either. So I'll keep an eye out for the next one. I was under the impression that it was that the reason that line was in it from Otto was that was like, oh, Goblin's back.
Yeah, but then it means one blasé line. Just
no, it's not a blasé line. It's literally a line. The line, as I said, it corners the thing that's. It makes if the Goblin can push through, that's when he's going to push through. When someone goes, "Oh, you're about to die."
Yeah, when his life's threatened.
Yeah,
I guess that could be a trigger.
Could be,
but I saw it as a trigger.
I just feel like it was
because otherwise I don't see the point of that line.
I just feel like it was just like Norman's bit up until this was just like it was just so like,
yeah,
it was just so.
Yeah. It became a new
again,
thing.
unepic.
When she became Goblin again, it became a new thing.
Yeah.
Once Goblin kicked back in, it got amazing.
Yeah. When Goblin came back, it was just like, right, okay, now his character is what we were expecting.
And a great fight.
And that's another great fight, isn't it?
Absolutely great. But both of the Spider-Man Goblin fights were absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Look, I like they both were very kind of obviously there was a display of superpowers,
Yeah.
but they weren't webbing around and flying around. It was just they were
they
just
were kind of like
Throwing each
brutal.
other against the wall.
they were just
stuff.
laying into each other.
Lots of
slamming.
wrestling moves
I
going
like-
on.
Oh,
there.
so many wrestling
Some
moves.
fucking
Norman
power
definitely-
bombs through
Norman was
concrete
definitely
floors.
like a semi-pro
Yeah,
wrestler.
no,
back
I
in
liked
his
it.
day.
It's very gritty.
Yeah, it was just a fight.
Just a display of
There was
strength,
no like I'm
wasn't
going to
it?
web around and dodge. It was just we're going to fucking lay into each
Super
other and see
fucking
what happens.
smash through
A bit where he's just on his head, just like
the whole
fucking-
building.
Yeah, just it was such a good fight.
Great fight. Which
But even in that fight, there's a bit where I'm just like, well done, Lizard. Like he shows
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
he's just like, I'm here, go back.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, what are you? Why are you here?
And Doc Ock just kind of like
Yeah,
disappears.
and
Like, why
he
the
gets
hell?
he gets because he's just been cured. He gets thrown out a window, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he gets
Right.
electrocuted and thrown and
Yeah.
zipped
Yeah.
away. But
And
no,
then
but
just
you're
got-
right.
then
He does kind
just-
of climb
he just
off.
leaves,
He
doesn't
does
he?
sort of
Yeah.
climb, which is weird.
No, you don't see it. You don't
No.
see it.
Yeah.
So like you just don't know what's
Assume
happened to
that
him
He's
yet.
got. He's
Sandman runs.
gone. Sandman runs away.
Does
He
he?
just runs
yeah,
away.
yeah.
What is it? Electro just sort of.
Well, Electro
is
gets
there.
Stark's thing, and then he's like he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
He's the one that triggers the whole thing in a sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know
Yeah.
Goblin orchestrated it, but Electro's the one that's like makes it the turning point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he gets the Stark
the arc reactor.
the arc, exactly, the arc reactor, and then just fucks off to go get more energy because
Yeah.
he's like power and thing like that.
Because he's power
Such
mad.
a good
He is
character.
Power Man.
Like they did literally. They
more
really
ways than one.
fixed him.
Yeah,
They really
I
did
agree.
fix
I
him.
know. It was
I
great.
can't believe it's like you said. I went in thinking, Electro, okay, and it was
yeah.
like,
And
yeah,
he was the
stole.
standout
I wouldn't say
villain
kind of stole
for
the
me.
show a little bit.
I thought he was the standout villain out of
Yeah,
all
yeah,
five.
he
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
consistent.
Which I was disappointed by because
You wanted it to
it
be the
wanted to
Goblin.
be Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
Yeah.
But I just said,
That's just where your
with Doc Ock, I felt he was either the butt of the joke or he turned good.
Good also,
And
yeah.
with Goblin, it was he spends most of the film either pretending or not pretending to be
as Norman,
sort
basically.
of wimpy
as
and
Norman,
pathetic.
air quotes. Yeah,
Whereas Electro was the strongest one out of the five of them, the most resistant,
most conviction. Yeah,
and the most and ironically, he's sort of the most human out of them.
I know.
yes,
the most normal,
100%, 100%.
for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And yet he's the one who's like, I don't know if I want.
He's
this
a
cure.
man. This is why it's a bit mad how they fucked up so badly in
Yeah,
Second Amazing.
it's
It's a
so-
very
it's a shame,
interesting
isn't it?
concept. It's
Yeah.
a guy who was nothing is now something, and that's always an interesting story.
Yeah.
It's always and does that person become Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened. He was nothing and became something, or do they become a villain?
And his
it's-
sorry
yeah.
to jump a little bit here,
No,
but
it's
it's not like a spoiler or anything. But his costume
So much
was
better.
brilliant.
It even had hints of the Electro costume
Yeah.
from the comics.
It was like that yellowy gold
Yeah.
outfit. No, like it wasn't like blue. It wasn't
No,
Doctor
no.
Manhattan.
Well, he comes in as the blue Electro initially, doesn't he?
yeah, but then
Yeah.
by
Then
the
he-
end, he's
yeah.
like, "Do you like my new outfit or whatever?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he looked great. I
Yeah.
remember at that point, I actually thought, now he's looking like a really strong main villain.
Yeah,
And now I would have liked to have seen
yeah. 100%.
Spider-Man face off against this Electro.
The character in general, that character, if he'd gone from that Weasley weird thing to this character, it would have been a lot better as well.
With like the slick haircut.
He's just he was-
Yeah.
but they kind of addressed it where he's like, obviously where he was energy and he came in, he literally had a physical change where the rest of them didn't.
Yeah.
And it's that whole line where he just says, "I like who I am here," and
Yeah.
he looks,
Yes.
but he's not looking, he's not
Exactly.
addressing his power. He literally looks at himself,
Yeah.
and he's literally like, "I like who I am." Like
Yeah.
he's seen
Turned from a dweeby nerd into like Jamie Foxx,
Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx. Oh, but that made me laugh,
which is
because they,
ironic because it's played by Jamie Foxx.
someone said about a makeover. I don't know if it's in the movie or something like that, but they've had like a bit of a makeover. Or no, I think one of them says about makeover. And it made me think of yours and Joe's one, where it's literally like Jamie Foxx is always, even his character in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was literally just a good makeover away from being Jamie Foxx.
Foxx.
Yeah.
He was
He was
still
just
like, the
15-minute
good-looking
makeover
stare.
away
A
from
couple of
it.
buck teeth away.
Yeah,
from
literally
a
like
haircut.
he could have Invisaligned and shaved his head, and
Yeah.
he's Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like. But this one was he was just like so I like that it was very much a physically different person.
Yeah.
Brilliant dialogue.
Yeah, he looked great.
Because he was quippy, but I don't want to call it quippy because of how
It was
negative we're
sinister
using now.
though.
Yeah.
He was.
Oh.
He had some. He was. Oh.
What?
I see what you done there.
he's-
See it
yeah.
again, but
Well, there's only 5 of them, so it didn't really
Comedy
work.
gold.
But but no, he there was like he I don't want to use quippy because quippy's become like almost a bit like the word Marvel, where we use it positively and now it's a bit negative. He was witty. His dialogue was good. It was good, funny. There was even the bits where he's being funny. It's kind of like, I like this. This is good. This is. It didn't feel like jokey.
No,
it was like, and if anyone had the personality that was going to be jokey in those moments, the character and situation fitted. So like, it was good.
Yeah. So and then you get to the end of the fight, and for some reason, Aunt May decides to risk her life.
Yeah. And doesn't Peter says, "Please get out of here," and she does.
I mean,
she doesn't do it for some reason.
You get why she was. She doesn't decide to save her life. He's literally in the moment about to. She thinks he's going to die. You would not do anything.
Yeah.
Like, and what else could she do? She can't fight him, so she has the cure. So that's not really her only option.
True.
But the glider thing.
Yeah.
I wish it had been a bit more gritty. Like he chokes her out or something like that. Or stabs her, like rather than.
I think she should have been impaled like Norman does in the first Spider-Man. That would have been more impactful because it's it's like the same thing, but it's happening to another one of a different Peter Parker's.
Loved ones.
Loved ones, or someone they look up to as well. Because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man looked up to Norman.
Yeah.
I think it would have just been like a nice callback,
kind of a callback, yeah.
And not nice as in like, oh, that's nice, but like because obviously she dies. But it'd have been like, they've gone for the same. These things happen in circles.
It keeps us thinking. There's an MJ. There's an MJ.
Because they are all connected. Because it's like Peter Parker and this universe and that universe.
Yeah.
Things go around, come around, kind of thing.
It would have meant that we didn't get. But again, it's like that's why I'm okay. We had it, but then that idea I like as well. I like equally because I liked that she was dying, and that's when she gives him the speech. Although she doesn't know she's dying.
Yeah,
which is a bit weird.
It is a bit weird because she's bleeding a lot.
Bleeding, yeah, she doesn't realise. I think maybe the idea is she's lost. Again, we're having to guess. Yeah. So I agree. On
she gets knocked over by
the idea that she's been bleeding out and now delusional because of her. It's a bit like I shouldn't be able to think about this. Just tell me. But I think it would have been really good to have that scene. She's not dying at the moment. Have that scene. She does the explanation. She has her Uncle Ben moment, and then the Collider just takes her out. So we I don't know. We think Norman's been like diffused and whatever that, and then and we just kind of get like it's a regal moment, and then the glider just.
I don't think the switching up the order of the death / with great power comes great responsibility line would have made it any better. I don't think switching it up would have changed it much.
Oh, okay.
For me,
what did you think of the line?
I didn't like it.
No, but they used the line. I was just happy they used the line.
Yeah, but.
We did say that. Use the line or don't do it.
Yeah, but first of all...
And I was worried she was going to go the way of thinking.
But they didn't say it She didn't say it properly.
She did.
She didn't.
With great power comes great responsibility.
That's not what she said. She says, with great power, there must also be great responsibility. So, and as soon as she said that, I was like, why? Why change it? Just say the fucking line.
Okay.
And then, but because it gets repeated later, at a much better moment... I thought, why didn't they just save it for that?
Or have her do a good version of, so he doesn't not say another version of the line, but give him a talk or a philosophy of similar nature. And he sort of says it, and that's when they both say to him.
Yeah.
So it's like he describes what she said to him, and they both just kind of go. One of them just goes with great power.
I don't know about you.
It would have been a nice way of
And I don't know if it's just me, but I felt absolutely nothing when Aunt May died.
Oh no, I did.
No.
I felt more than I did with Uncle Ben because they.
What?
Well, we spent more time with her.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's not a good
Wow.
That's not like a good balance. Because she's on screen more.
Spider-Man Uncle Ben. Maybe not Tobey Maguire's Uncle Ben, because even though we don't spend as much time with him, you do become very emotionally involved with him.
Yeah, but it's
quickly.
Uncle Ben. No, that's the point.
I mean, I don't know.
I think we could spend more time with her. It hit a bit different. Hit different because I've spent more time with this character.
I don't know. I felt nothing.
Honestly, I didn't really feel too much because
If Aunt May had died in the Raimi trilogy, as played by the Rosemary Harris, I'd have been bawling my eyes out.
Oh, same, yeah. But I would just as
That would
much
have
in
been
this. But it would be the same.
Yeah.
they just
But
murdered an old lady
yeah.
after
I
murdering
think
an old man.
I think it's the
Exactly.
same. For me, it's the same.
Nah,
But I am more invested in the MCU one. So.
I just.
It's
yeah,
about investment.
no.
It's all about investment. It's personal investment. That's what these things, those moments and those scenes, how they hit, is all about your investment in the characters. And if you don't like them and don't have the investment, then you're not going to feel the same way.
I tell you this
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
true.
And that's a little bit on the studio. It's your own fictions as well, like your way you feel about it. So if you're not as invested in the MCU and you're not that bothered about Aunt May, then you're not going to be invested when she dies.
I'm going to say this that
Yeah, that's
the reason I think that I didn't really feel too much is because they played the character of Aunt May in this no more broadly than core, isn't she hot?
Yeah. yeah.
So
They did that too
I'm
much.
like,
She is hot.
They lent too much.
I'm like, there's
lent
no-
way too much into it.
there's
Yeah,
not
that's
much
what
more to that character than core, she's your aunt.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
and then
she's well
then when
fit.
she dies, I'm just like, right,
Well, they did a little bit of a.
the high waisted jeans aren't coming
Well,
back.
this
then,
I do agree with that because I've said before I think they've lent too much into this. Oh, we've got this great actress play Aunt May. She's going to play the character really well, and it's like I feel like it's almost like I like the idea that someone cast her subjectively and went, oh yeah, we'll get things. She's the right age. She'll be his aunt. We'll do a different twist on it, maybe a bit younger, and she's really like she's got this kind of character. Okay, yeah, she'd be a bit more this kind of, and then brought him in, and then the studios went, oh, she's hot, isn't she? Makes you put a lot of dialogue about that.
Yeah.
Like we were just. I mean, obviously, people.
yeah, we
can
wanted
see
it to
her.
be.
People can see her. We don't
Yeah,
need to keep
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
We
her.
don't have to keep.
And they're like,
noticing.
no. We should make it really
Yeah,
present that
I
she's
know.
hot. We like
Yeah.
her. She's
in
fit.
this
It's like,
day and age as well.
They've gone.
But
They've
I
gone
do think
too
I
much
do-
into it.
But I will also, in defence, say I do think she did. They gave us enough of a character there to think that I enjoyed her Aunt May, and we've said that before.
I'd like to enjoy her,
But-
Aunt May.
But this movie,
That's so creepy.
it would have been better. I feel like it would have been better, or to your point, if they'd spent more time with the Aunt May we had in this movie, where she was a little bit more grounded. There was a little more. There was this moral aspect, moral advisor to Peter. This is the first time she's done any moral advising to him
Yeah.
in the 3 movies. She's guiding him.
I think she
helped
does
him.
a little bit at the beginning of Far From Home. Yeah,
Oh,
you know
trying
when
to talk
he's
him into bringing in the suit.
yeah, and
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
that.
like where they're at the place where he's just like showing his face and she's there.
Yeah, but does she actually? There's no guidance in there. She's just using him to do a publicity thing. She doesn't really give him any guidance.
Afterwards,
does she?
she's just like, you should take the suit with you because you know, like if there is any dangers.
Oh, I
it's
get
up
that.
to
Yeah,
you,
so
you know?
yeah, she's leaning to.
So
encouraging
she's
the
not
Spider-Man.
completely devoid
And
of character. I'm not saying that.
And,
I am
and
just
in
saying
Homecoming-
they lent in
Homecoming,
too much.
The scenes between him and Homecoming are some of the best scenes in it. There's some
I'd
really
like to
good
lean
back and
into Aunt May.
forth.
God's sake.
But oh god.
I've got like a couple of hours to I've maybe got like an hour to edit this fucking thing before it goes out, and I'm noting down how much I've got to cut out of this fucking thing.
It's an existential crisis conversation, and Harry dropping in one-liners about Aunt May.
Oh.
But yeah,
2
so I do-
minutes 15. Harry horny again.
But yeah, so I was invested in this character of Aunt May. I do like it, so I was very sad when she died. I also, before I went into this movie, said it was going to be May or Ned, and then realised who Ned was, and like, right, it's not going to be MJ, it's probably going to be May. So I kind of sussed out she would. Or Happy. Happy was also on my list.
Yeah, but
possibly,
I would
but
have just
would
been
have
like absolutely devoid of.
Yeah, I
anything
don't think
if
I'm going to
Happy
say.
had
I
died.
think they would have played.
Probably
it
would have been like. Oh, all
I
right,
would have
sweet.
expected that the scene was in a way where it was a death scene and there's a sadness to reacting to the scene. But beyond that, with Happy, I wouldn't have been much more. With Aunt May, I'm like, oh shit, Aunt May's gone now. And to be honest, I've got a whole external investment in the Peter May relationship just from watching every rendition of Spider-Man. May is his constant.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've made May the death, not his girlfriend, not a love interest, it's
yeah.
May. It's always a bigger deal when
I
it's
do.
May.
I mean, as much as I say I didn't feel anything, I did like that Aunt May died because
yes, it was a good. It was the
I-
right decision.
I
in this
like
case.
that. I want this Peter Parker
Yeah.
to be alone and to face his challenges by himself.
Yeah.
And also I liked that because Aunt May's death then made him have that sort of
that moment.
anger and
Yeah.
vengefulness, which
Yeah.
later paid off at the end.
Yes, yeah.
And if we hadn't had May's death, we wouldn't have got
We
that.
finally got, as I said, it's the third movie. We finally got he got a character.
So I liked that, and when that bit happened at the end, I thought, that sort of justifies killing off Aunt May.
Yeah.
Now
I like that. Yeah, but so this is the bit we were talking about earlier in it, where I was then, as much as I was in that moment and some of that, there was this tiny little voice in my head like, so the rest of the movie needs to happen. It's definitely gonna be some more jokes. I'm like,
of course,
yeah,
there's going to be jokes.
can't it just be a serious movie from here out?
So from there,
It's Marvel. No, it can't. But can't literally the last bit of this movie be he's now angry and he's angry for the rest of... I'm happy for him to be angry for the rest of this movie and just be on a bit of a...
He's on like a warpath.
Ned's there. Ned will make a few lines. That's fine. Let's keep Peter dark and serious.
Yeah.
Part of it's like, but it's Marvel, Sam.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have him. He's going to be okay in a minute.
After Happy gets arrested post May's death, we then get to MJ and Ned, who have been hiding out at Ned's house.
Yes.
Obviously, Spider-Man to Peter Parker's just like, I'm gonna take these people to Happy's, but you need to kind of hide out with the box.
Yeah.
Split up a bit.
Yeah.
And I said before that Spider-Man took Doctor Strange's sling ring.
Yeah.
And straight away, there's like a hint that Ned can use this thing.
Oh, there's magic. How do you know if there's magic in your family? Like,
Well, which I was just like, lol, ridiculous. But yeah. And then we get to a scene inside a house, which is going to be a very pivotal point in this film.
Yeah.
So obviously they are seeing on the
Pivotal point is
news that they're seeing on the news that there's been,
Everything
absolute
the fight
carnage
happened, yeah.
at this place, and they need to get to Peter.
Because
So-
they did, I was a bit sitting there like, why haven't you pressed the button yet? You said you were going to press the button if anything like this happened. They do
Yeah.
explain it, and I agree with why they didn't press the button. It's like, yeah, they don't feel that it's their decision.
Yeah.
They wanted
Yeah.
they wanted the villains to believe that they would, but at the end of the day, Peter's got to be the one to make that decision. So they were waiting for Peter. I'm like, okay.
And then
I get that.
they think maybe we can use this to
Oh, no,
to find Peter.
He's got it on, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got it on just where he's playing with it, and then he does that. This is the first time we're learning really that you can be inherently magic. Because I was under the impression you can just learn it. Because Doctor Strange did.
Here's the thing. I just
explains
think
why Doctor Strange spent months
yeah.
trying to do this, and Ned done it by accident. That's sort of like a.
I don't know. Again, that's another thing where I was just like, this is just so convoluted.
At this point in the film, Ned being magic, I was like, whatever.
yeah. yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
make
I
him
agree.
like the most powerful being in the whole universe. Why not?
Make him
Make him fucking Captain Marvel
Yeah.
level. Whatever.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So we're in the apartment.
And they try and they think to themselves, maybe they can use this magic to try and find Peter Parker.
Yeah, find Peter Parker. They need to
Find Peter Parker's, or they say Peter Parker whilst, or they're saying it
Which is how
whilst
it
he's
works,
trying
which is how it
to
works, yeah.
whilst he's trying to conjure this portal.
And we
He
get
does
we
conjure
get an
a
alleyway
portal.
scene.
Yeah, does conjure a portal to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But after a couple of cuts, you realise that that's not the suit, and he's probably
not-
a bit too tall.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And the moment happens, and the question is answered.
the question is answered, and it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
So you guys were a little bit surprised. I don't know about this point, but surprised with the cheer Andrew Garfield got. I still stand by. I think it's because that's the moment it was confirmed.
I wasn't surprised by it at all.
Other cinemas my mates went to.
Yeah.
So my mate Nugent, Toby got a bigger cheer.
Right.
So
yeah.
it was a bit of a. They are very much divided. From talking to different people, and no one can see the other side of it. You either like Toby or you like Garfield. That's you like Andrew. There doesn't seem to be anyone that just likes both. There will be obviously people. I know they're out there. They're saying, but I have not come across.
Yeah, I'd
anyone
say a
yet.
majority are either or.
Either or, and it's very much like I don't like that one. I really like that one.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, oh, they're alright, and but I prefer them. It's I don't like them, I like them.
Well, my opinion's actually
We know your
changed on
opinion.
that.
Because why do we know your opinion?
I think that
Why do we know your opinion? Because anyone's Spider-Man, mate.
Tobey
Or is
Maguire.
there?
Oh shit! So having Andrew come out first, probably a good idea. I think.
Yes, I think so. So I literally,
in
I was sitting to
hindsight,
myself,
yeah.
and I think I was thinking it, but I think I said it. I literally went to myself, yeah, save us till last. Yeah.
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 Yeah. There.
And I feel he was fixed.
That scene was good.
It was
It was
good.
good. Yeah.
See, I think it was good that
It was funny,
Yeah.
again, here's
It was
the thing.
funny.
but Tom wasn't there, so it's okay that it was funny. This is what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. I enjoyed the bants.
Yeah.
That they had.
Once again, I thought it was
Underwhelming.
underwhelming again because here's the thing,
This was their big entrance.
Yeah,
they
I know,
didn't really
I know.
have
And it's
one.
I was saying to Sean, I thought I said it to you. I was surprised when they did the second portal.
Yep.
I was like, oh, they're not going to introduce Toby as well. In this
Straight
second scene.
after.
They're not
Sure,
going to do.
yeah.
They're not going to do the same thing.
There'll be another 10-15 minutes, and then Toby will come in. That's what I
They
thought.
will have a whole thing, and then he'll show up in his moment.
Yeah.
And when he steps through, I was like, oh okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're doing both in the same scene.
It's Toby.
I don't know if I like this or not.
In
but-
pedestrian clothes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I liked that. It's very on brand. No,
It is a
I
little
did
bit,
like that.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
on brand.
I didn't remember.
It was on brand. I enjoyed that.
Here's the
I
thing.
like that Garfield showed up in his
I guess
suit
it
and-
depends what point they were picked out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
He
he's
could've-
older,
he
so
could've-
maybe
he could have
he's
been
less.
munching on a donut or dancing in the street at that point.
Yeah.
And it's very much
Not
a lot.
in
Of, you
Spider-Man
think
costume.
unless he's
Yeah.
on patrol or something's kicked off where he's always ready. He is in his clothes most
Yeah.
of those movies.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
Yes.
And it was like Peter Parker stepped through.
Yes.
I
loved that he was the pure one. They kept him as this pedestal sort of thing. He was the good one.
Yeah, but I mean, just
'Cause they could have gone
talking
dark
about
and
that
gritty.
scene specifically. I don't know. Yeah, I've just found it a bit underwhelming. I felt like they should have had a grander entrance.
I think so.
It was underwhelming, like the majority of the entrances of
Yeah.
these characters.
That's what I meant. You know, I said at the start of the podcast, which was probably about 4 hours ago. I felt that I was underwhelmed by Daredevil's cameo, and
Yeah.
this was the first of a few cameos that
Yeah.
underwhelmed me.
It was this
underwhelmed me
their
as
overall
well.
cameo was just this entrance.
The entrance,
Yeah.
not their presence in the film,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
their entrances.
Yeah, okay, I get that. I do get it. It was a bit like, oh, they're going to do it this way. Okay,
I
Yeah.
feel
they were
like
trying to do the thing you talk about subverting expectations.
I
thing, but
I thought they were
the
going
wrong
to do a Ghostbusters and just have them like swing in at the end and be like, "Hey, need some help?" and they swing in.
Oh no, I wouldn't have liked that. I wanted to see the
fight?
characters interact, and I wanted the amount of time we had
More
with them.
screen time.
I
The
just
amount of time
feel
we had with
like
them, I wanted to spend that time with them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that, to be honest,
I feel like
I was worried they were. Gonna
there
do
was
that.
just it was just like there was just a lack of grandiose about it,
It was, yeah.
and I was just like, this is like if in Endgame,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of those portals opened
Yeah.
and they all just wandered through and they were just like, all right.
It was supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
I was expecting an Endgame-esque
Yeah.
big moment where, with the music and
You could still have had that, and then
Yeah.
still had the scenes where they're
Yeah,
interacting as
absolutely.
it's just the initial introduction of them was just like, all right,
yeah,
oh, this is a bit weird, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Like,
they
fucking hell.
literally just walked into a room and was
Yeah.
like, "Hello."
I was just like, this is so underwhelming.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's going to be a tease. There's no way they're going to do and he'd already walked through, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they're just
and he
gonna
walks
bring
through
them both in here.
backwards and then turns around.
Kind of like he's a bit
hello.
confused. And yeah.
Like it's almost like he stumbles.
Oh
through.
yeah, but to be honest, every moment as soon as he was in it, he was absolutely what I wanted him to be.
Yeah,
He was
you're-
Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker.
You're
and
right
I
about the
fucking
screen
loved
time
it.
thing.
I wanted to spend that time.
You're
with
right
him.
that you're. I'm glad we saw a lot. More than I thought we would see.
And
of
to
them.
the point, it's even re-intrigued me into Andrew Garfield's because he does that bit about he got dark,
Yeah,
and which is good. So someone writing this has acknowledged that maybe Andrew Garfield isn't the most perfect Peter Parker and is a
Well,
bit darker.
I don't know if it's too early to say this, but that was the thing. That's the thing that's actually sort of altered my my view a bit. So along with Electro,
Yeah.
I must admit the other character that really stood out for me in this film was
Andrew Garfield.
Garfield's
They fixed
Spider-Man.
him. They fixed him.
I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
He was. He was funny, but not to the point that it was irritating me.
Yeah.
He was at times he was very dark. He took things very seriously.
Yeah.
He wasn't. It felt like he wasn't the same Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man films.
Exactly.
I think you said that it's because he had good writing.
Yeah.
If you change the writing on Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I bet Andrew Garfield would be closer to Toby in terms of people's faves. I feel like there would be more of a balance there.
Yeah,
and it's frustrating because, like with Electro,
very frustrating because he's a great actor.
He could have been brilliant. He could have even, dare I say, he could have surpassed Toby.
He was so fixed in this movie. He was referencing things from the movie that I don't like.
Yeah,
and I was invested.
Exactly.
Yeah,
same. I genuinely was. I felt. Like for the whole the fact that he lost Gwen and stuff.
I find it weird, but understand the moment where so obviously they've met and then they go and find Peter.
Yeah.
The whole I love that how Toby was the one that worked it out. It's very much like they put a lot on him, and I loved it. A lot of the story from here is driven by Toby.
Yeah,
and because even Gwen and even MJ and Ned are kind of like, oh, where would he go? And he's like, where would he go? It would be someone that's significant to him. I love they compare their places. Yeah, brilliant view.
You're absolutely right.
The connection with the Spider-Men was just
Toby.
All the dialogue was
amazing. It worked perfectly as him being the older, wiser Spider-Man.
Yes,
who is slightly more sensible. Perfectly.
So here's the thing: are they coming in at the point from their last movies?
No.
I feel like they're coming in a bit after their last movies.
Toby was supposed to not be the age he actually is, and is actually because I just don't see how it's the way he references MJ, and I was like, it is how they left it, isn't it? They weren't together at the end of 3, but they were starting to mend the thing and work it through some troubles.
Yeah, they reconciled.
If they were 10, 20 years on, I was a bit like, oh, surely they're happy by now.
Well,
or the idea that it's constant.
Doc Ock does say to him, "You've got older."
But how much time is between Spider-Man 2 and 3?
3 years.
3 years. That's not enough time, is it, for him to?
But it could have been. I mean,
could have been maybe 5, 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
Maybe, I would. Which that'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
He does just kind of say like, oh, they work it out. Like he's he's just telling.
Yeah.
He's basically in that bit that you're referring to. He's just telling Andrew Garfield that like, don't give up hope because no matter what, you can always turn it around. You know.
And Andrew Garfield's one, Gwen wouldn't have, for him to react the way he was reacting to her, she wouldn't have had to have just died. That thing obviously is going to stay with him.
Of course,
Oh yeah.
I like that they're not both having. So obviously they both acknowledge Uncle Ben, and it was their loss. But when they're doing the share, so the scene where they're sharing each, like basically he's like about to say something, he goes, "Don't say you know how I feel." My brain kind of goes, oh, but he does.
He does know how you feel.
He shouldn't say you know how you feel because you should never say that to the person in that moment. And somehow he said it without saying it, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was like you connected with him. You didn't say I know how you feel, but you went, but he used Gwen and Toby used Ben, and I kind of liked that.
Yes.
Well, because
I agree.
Them both saying, if he'd gone, oh, my Uncle Ben, and he went, my Uncle Ben too, I feel like it would have been almost not cancelled each other out. But
no, I think you probably would. It
was
right.
better to use a different person, and Gwen was obviously fresher for him.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Gwen does sort of fit, especially with the problem with the Uncle Ben death in Amazing Spider-Man. Gwen fits the bill about this conversation more about feeling like it was their fault.
Yeah.
I really, really liked that scene.
Yeah.
And
amazing
I thought it was
the Court of the Spider-Men.
I thought it was that for me was more satisfying than their arrival.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I really, really liked that they. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did do that later. I really, really liked that the first meeting of the three of them, they took it super seriously.
Yeah.
There were no fucking jokes.
No,
oh, you can do this. Oh, you can do that. They saved that for later.
Yeah.
It was a very serious scene.
Yeah.
Very poignant. Very touching, and they like you just said they're all talking about Tom's lost May, Andrew's lost Gwen, Toby lost Uncle Ben, which was his fault, sort of. So I really like that, and I
Yeah,
really
it
like
was
how Andrew and
absolutely
Toby are trying to talk to him and convince him that. And then when the line comes with great power comes
I
great
agree.
responsibility.
I do agree.
That's when I would have liked the line
Yeah.
then, rather than
Tom
rather
had
than,
said something relating to what May had said,
Yeah,
and then May give him the line.
because I think Tom says
Like a
it.
passing
Tom
of the
says
baton.
with great power, and then Toby finishes it with great responsibility.
Yeah.
I would have preferred Toby and Andrew to have said it to Tom.
Yeah,
in the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Saying so. Tom has. I wouldn't remember it myself. Tom has a conversation with May
Yes.
before she dies,
and he's trying to explain.
He's
that
trying to explain
to
that.
them.
Yeah, he's emotive too, and then they kind of take
And
over
then-
and they hand him the
Exactly.
line.
Andrew could have said with great
With
power.
and then Toby says with comes great
And
responsibility.
both Spider-Men have just
And they
handed.
sort
It's
of
like
look at each other and they're
Yeah.
literally like
yeah.
a handing of the baton. And
Yes.
they look at each other and do the Uncle Ben. It would have still.
Yes.
And it's like you
Yes.
are now Spider-Man.
It didn't take
It's
away
like
from the scene.
No, not
but
at all.
it just would have liked that
I
little
like. I
tweak.
would absolutely. I 100% agree with
Yeah.
that.
We
Yes,
need to
it would have been
stop
much better
fixing these
delivered from
movies.
this.
We do.
For free.
Yeah, I know, right?
So yeah, it's great that I might have gone on a little bit of a too negative about the initial meeting of the two Spider-Men,
Yeah.
Toby and Andrew,
Yeah.
but it was instantly made up by
this
this scene. You
Well,
know,
to be honest, I feel like they're back and forth even in that scene. I know their arrival's underwhelming, but that scene picked up quite.
yeah.
Yes.
To be
Yes.
fair,
Yeah, it got better.
As soon as they were there,
Yeah.
it got great.
Yeah.
But just the way they came in, unfortunately, was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah.
But but that scene.
And
was
then it
incredible.
doesn't take away anything that happens after this
Yes.
point.
No, absolutely. And
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. They did, especially when they showed up. My brain then the voice came back going, he's going to have some banter with the new Spider-Man.
Of
It's like,
course.
yeah, but he's angry. Why would he have banter with the new Spider-Man? Because it's Marvel. And you
Yeah.
want that. I'm like, I do want it, but I feel like there's a way to do it.
See,
Yeah,
I
it's
feel,
probably
actually,
not
I
gonna be
feel like
They did it well.
having the other two Spider-Man there and it having a serious conversation kind of defused the bomb of angry Tom Holland
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yes, but when MJ asks him how he is, I didn't want him to say I'm okay. I didn't want that look and be brave and like she's just seen him bawling his eyes out and everything. It's just that you're not going to be brave. If she
Yeah.
went like, "How are you?" I kind of almost want a turn back and be like, "I'm really angry. Like I'm angry." Like
Either that
in
or just
moment,
like I'm struggling, but I like
Yeah.
I'm
the
trying-
fact that you two are here and these two are here like is
Yeah.
helping.
That, yeah,
Yeah.
literally that would have been, and then
Exactly.
anything happens after that, you're like, okay, that's cool, it's still happening.
Yeah.
But instead, he was kind of like, yeah, I'm fine, it's cool. And I'm like, no, mate, you're not.
Yeah,
Why
no.
would you? Who are you? We've just seen you on the rooftop. Who are you being brave for?
Yeah.
So the three Spider-Mens decide they
science scene?
Yeah, they decide
with
they're
that.
gonna
No.
they're still gonna cure these. They're still
Yeah,
gonna
dumb. I found that dumb.
they're still gonna
Didn't like the
cure
science
these.
scene.
No, I like the
things.
scene, but it's the fact that they make the cure again from scratch in a
high school.
chemistry lab
Yeah,
in like 5
The
minutes.
banter, the back and
brilliant.
forth,
the
is
banter's
good.
top notch.
Yeah,
so it's
Yeah.
it's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
we needed
It's
that
everything
scene.
else in the
We
scene.
needed that scene in different contexts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe just a
yeah.
plan. How like, go back to what you guys were saying with the capture grab thing. The plan at this point you tried to cure him, didn't work. So we go back to the capture grab
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the plan of how to
Yes.
catch him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same sort of thing going on. Then maybe they're all off doing their own thing, some reason, because you need to have them separate doing something. Because it needed to be Tom with his mates, sort of having that sort of bit, and then a bit of interaction with Toby and Andrew. Writers would easily like you. This is the thing about writing. When someone's like, "Oh, but this," it's like you wrote it. You chose everything that happened, so you can't blame. Like that's what happened. You chose that moment, sort of thing like that. Write in a way so that you can still have the same, almost the same dialogue, but yeah, I agree, different context. The high school science thing was a bit. I did like Andrew in the lab coat over the spider suit. That was a bit funny, but like
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
scene. To be fair,
But it's just like the reason why they're there and them actually achieving it is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a comic book film. I shouldn't be using words like ridiculous, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know,
like,
exactly,
it's just a bit too
We've
much.
had the conversation before. We get that these are set in other worlds with different rules, but they're you have to have rules.
You have to be anchored to the real world.
Yeah, you have to you set up your world,
Yeah.
you set up the rules of your world, and then they have to be anchored to those rules. You don't just get to change it because there's magic now. That's not how it works.
Exactly.
But
So they start making the cure MacGuffins, and they.
I do like how they get there, though. I mean, we say they made it up in a thing. Andrew's literally like, "I've done this before. It's fine. I can do this."
That is true. Actually,
He's a scientist. He's done it before. That's the thing. I can't remember. I think Toby says he's going to take. I don't really remember what the other two kind of do. It's just they both just working on Electro.
Toby works on the
Goblin
thing for. Oh, is it Goblin?
Oh no, yeah, no. Again, very good. Literally says, "I'll take Norman. I've been thinking about this for years."
Yes,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, just a line of dialogue that isn't what it is, but the subtext is amazing, and it's literally like, I still feel guilty for that.
Yeah.
See, if this had been the
I
point,
still think about Norman to this day and how I could have saved him.
Yeah.
if this was the point where they were like, we could pool our knowledge to get a cure, and then Tom Holland Spider-Man's like, well, I've got this box from Mr. Stark that can help us.
Yeah, they could have introduced the cure subplot.
And because,
and none of the stupid villains in an apartment shit.
So Tobey Maguire could be like, I've been spending my last 10 years thinking about how I could have cured Harry and and then Andrew's just like, well, I've done this once before, but I can try and do it again. It just like things just start kind of threading together, but having it right in the middle where it's just like magic box. I can understand Tom Holland being smart enough to replicate a chip that was broken. I could get my head around that. I know he's a genius. I know he's in high school, but
this is the thing. You always know when Spider-Man's being played well is when you forget that he's a genius. I feel. The thing about the Spider-Man character, every time I see him something sciencey or doing something reference in the comic books, in the cartoon, I go, "Oh yeah, fuck, he's a genius," because he's so normal.
Yeah,
he's such a normal, relatable, average Joe.
Yeah,
and you're like. And even some ways when he's being Spider-Man, when he's Peter Parker, and this is why Toby is so good at. You forget he's just walking. He's just like a little dweeb walking down the street. He can catch a car. Yeah, and it just blows your mind. And then he'll do something sciencey, and you're like, oh wait, no, he's brilliant. Like he's literally just you forget because he's played such but lazy. But he plays it. Spider-Man is always portrayed in this way that he's such a relatable, average Joe guy. He's the same wealth as us. He's poor. He just trying to help He's the little guy.
Yeah.
But he's probably one of the strongest, one of the smartest. But he just doesn't have the money to be those. And he just does what he does. Use it for literally lose it on such a grounded level. That's why. Yeah, that's what I think you've always played him well with that. So yeah, it does.
If you'd had the introduction of them trying to help them then. It would have made so much more goddamn sense.
Yeah, it would have.
And Lizard in a van.
Yeah.
Lizard in a van, I feel like, should become related. It should be a term that we use to a certain situation that I haven't quite worked out yet.
Yeah. If you need a character to just disappear for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Stick them in a van.
Stick them in a van,
yeah.
Or if you're trying to reference to something like in retrospect that you made a mistake and at the time was a stupid decision. It's like, I left the lizard in the van.
Yeah.
Stick them in the van.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was in hindsight that was a stupid thing to do. So it's like I left the lizard in the van.
And I think then we get to the big finale.
We get to the big finale.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Going on the underwhelming thing. So when they're like thing, and it very obviously just shooting Tom with their voices coming in. I was like, okay, so we've had the Peter Parker reveal. We're now going to get the 3 Spider-Man at the same time reveal. They didn't really do that. They just suddenly cut to them communicating. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I thought that too. When they sort of cut to Liberty Island, we didn't even get a scene of Toby like suiting up. I thought,
I know.
When he went. I really. There was that. There's that iconic shot in Spider-Man 1, which in itself was a homage to Superman.
Yeah,
where he's running in slow motion and he pulls the shirt aside.
Yeah.
I thought, the reason that they've got him in normal clothes is because we're going to have like a costume reveal. Like he's gonna do the pull the shirt thing or something.
As they're walking out of the wherever they are.
Yeah,
he starts unbuttoning his, he just starts unbuttoning his shirt
or something like that.
Out,
but it just
closes off the camera.
We didn't get that. It just cuts to Liberty Island, and he's just there in his costume.
So one thing, while we're on the
But they did do like you know, the superhero.
They did do the shot where they swig in and land on the.
I mean,
torch.
all of the shots of them swinging together is just cool as shit.
Oh
cool
yeah,
as shit.
Yeah.
But
It's
seeing the three
top
next to each
tier
other,
stuff.
three in the scene next to each other, because Tom's back in his probably most grounded costume at the time. He got Toby and thing. Who is it? Still Toby's the best costume. I did find myself getting a little bit more tingly about Toby's costume.
What do you mean?
So you've seen all three costumes together now next to each other. It's just
Oh,
completely
which
subjectively,
one is
not
the
who's your
best?
favourite Spider-Man. We've seen all three costumes together. The not armoured ones, just Spider-Man costumes. Which was your favourite?
Oh, it was still Toby's.
Something about Toby's was still hitting me.
The way the eyes are in Toby's
I love the
costume.
3D webbing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's and the badge I feel that was my favourite badge, and the coloration of the blue is like just a little bit darker. It's still my favourite costume.
So
it
in
was-
that
it was-
particular scene, if we're comparing all three, I think it just goes in order. I think it just goes Toby,
1, 2,
Andrews,
3.
and then.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Tom
I do
Holland.
like tech part aspects aside. If it was just a costume, I do really like Tom Holland's.
Well,
I
the
like
one in
black
this
and
one, the
red.
new one.
I've seen a few things in the comics where it's black and red, and I do like that version of with Spider-Man. But so it does for me. It does go Toby, Tom. So it goes Toby, then Tom and Andrew. It's like
Right, okay.
it's the same way I do my favorite Spider-Mans. It's Tom and Toby, and then Andrew.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gone up. Does he go up?
Well,
Do we judge him by
Well,
his
We'll
movies?
discuss that at the end of
Do we judge him?
the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we judge him by his movies or do we judge him by this now? It's
gonna be- it's gonna
a
be-
weird dynamic.
Well,
But
but
so the fight scene, yeah. Sorry,
the fight scene. I mean, yeah, it was pretty ultimate.
was
good.
good.
It
It
was
was
very
pretty ultimate.
It was, you know,
What do you think of the Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty?
again, like with Ned having powers, I was just like, whatever.
Okay,
I honestly, when I first, I already knew about it,
Okay.
but when I first saw it, I thought that is exactly what America would do.
they would
would,
do
yeah.
it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
would do it.
They
yeah.
they lost, Steve Rogers, and absolutely everything since then has been about Steve Rogers.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like Captain Winter Soldier. They're like, we need to find a new one.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Hawkeye, there's a musical about him.
Just
So
Don't
it
understand
makes
it, but yeah.
makes so much goddamn sense that if they lost someone like Captain America, America would lose their collective minds and everything would be about it.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think like it's just probably about right what they would do.
And it meant we got a load of scaffolding for the plot for the really good fight at the end of
Yeah.
Statue of Liberty.
yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
pretty good. Yeah,
I was
not
like-
the first time there's been an action set piece at the end of the movie at the Statue of Liberty.
I know.
waiting for them to show up. 'Cause that's when suddenly all it turns out they all showed up and they've just been hanging out there.
Honestly, what I wanted there to be is on the Statue of Liberty there just be one of the prongs on the crown missing.
Yeah, or a scratch mark.
I was gonna say a
Because you know
scratch mark.
Wolverine,
I was going to say a scratch
yeah.
mark.
Wolverine like claws around one and it drops off.
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
That'd be great if that was the only Easter egg ever of
Yeah.
the possibility of them being in that MCU.
But yeah, no. Look, it was a pretty ultimate fight. I mean,
Great
we
fight,
had 3 Spider-Mans and
the best that
5
Lizard was
villains.
utilised.
Well, 4 villains.
Again, Sandman. Why is he fighting Spider-Man now?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It makes no.
It's a bit
It
absolute
makes no
bollocks.
sense.
Absolute bollocks.
Why wouldn't? And also, yeah, like why wasn't? Yeah, why didn't? I don't know.
But this is the best use. This is the whole thing. This was the best use of the Lizard. This is where he was actually.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
saying it
think so.
justified him being in it,
Yeah,
but this is where he was at his best.
yeah. I mean, I still would have preferred just 3-on-3.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight
exactly.
up
He wasn't even
fight.
necessary. Absolutely. You could have had him not in it from your what you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have affected this scene how good it was.
Yeah,
But as he was there, this is probably the best he was utilised up until this point.
Yeah.
He was good. Yeah.
I mean, you could have had. I think it would have. What would have made the most sense is if Toby had fought Doc Ock,
Yeah.
and Andrew had fought Electro, and Tom had fought
Goblin.
Green Goblin.
I was going to say that when you said it earlier, 3-on-3,
Yeah.
we hadn't revealed the thing. I was literally thinking, because I was like, oh, but then you haven't got the balance. But absolutely have the balance. He's got the now vendetta against him.
Exactly.
That's his villain.
Exactly.
And that's his villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Would have worked really well.
But yeah, no. Do you know? I mean, look, apart from I genuinely, I couldn't. Sometimes I couldn't tell who was who with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they kept switching who they were fighting as well, which made it more confusing for me. Like they didn't just pick one.
I think
I quite like that though. It would be quite chaotic.
It was chaotic.
It followed the chaotic.
But I'm not saying I still loved it. I
Yeah,
still
but it
enjoyed
was
it.
a bit-
I just found it a bit hard to follow.
hard to
It was
follow.
like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
trying to
Absolutely.
watch a final fight in a Transformers movie and working out who the fuck who was fighting.
Yeah,
who.
I get it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was great.
Absolutely brilliant.
It,
Everyone was brilliant in it.
great banter. Again,
I love that they acknowledge it's literally like, well, shit, we don't know how to work as a team, and then he's the one to bring them together because he's worked in a team, so it makes all that thing. I do like
Yeah, it was
that.
kinda cool.
It was,
Yeah.
and then even that stop where they all stopped, masked off, and it was literally like a shit.
Yeah.
Let's get our shit
Regroup,
together.
yeah.
Great
Yeah,
little
that was
bit.
good.
And it's
Yeah.
just brilliant little lines from Andrew Garfield. Like he's obviously this guy is a broken version of Peter Parker. There is
Yeah.
a lot going on. There is more going on in his head than the others.
Yeah.
Considering one just lost someone, he's
Yeah.
still the very much like emotionally unstable, and he's just very just like, I love you guys, and they kind of go, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
yeah,
And it's
I,
like-
I like that too.
But it's literally like they've acknowledged what Andrew Garfield, everything we were saying about Andrew Garfield, and then our opinion of it. It's whoever's writing this, I feel like, had a similar opinion and went, but you know what? We're having him. Let's lean into it, and it might fix it. Saying he went the line. That's what I'm saying. The bit that's intrigued me, this line where he's now gone. I got dark for a while. I stopped pulling my punches, and I'm like, is he implying that he's been killing people?
Maybe.
Or was he bad and or not bad? He went a bit dark and now he's okay. It's like it's very much a lot of intrigue there, and I'm now like, oh shit, I want to see more of him.
Same.
It was very good,
yeah.
very very good. They went, oh, this Peter Parker's not the nice, humble villain. He's a darker, grittier kind of thing. Let's lean into that.
I've got a theory on that,
Okay,
but we'll get to.
we'll save it when we rate in the Spider-Man. So I think we should do that.
But yeah, it was. I love. I quite like that they sort of subtly take the piss out of Toby for the fact that his web comes out.
Oh,
Had to be addressed.
Had to.
it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so.
I mean,
good.
I don't know if you've listened to the Raimi podcast, but I prefer that.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
But
you
but
mentioned me in it.
I can understand why not a lot of people don't like it, and I quite enjoyed that they were sort of giving him little
I used
digs
to have
about
problems
it.
with it, and when Andrew Garfield done the web shooters, I was like, yeah, he always has web shooters. It's like, and you mentioned me in the thing. It's comic book isn't law.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
exactly,
Tobey
yeah.
Maguire's having it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah, the whole making it tech thing is a bit. In hindsight, you're a bit like, oh, okay. It's in the cartoon and comics, you can kind of get away with like he has web shooters.
yeah.
In a movie, you can't just do it. So
Yeah.
it needs to be explained.
Yeah.
And but I do like the bit where he's making his suit, but you could have had that without the web shooters thing. And the idea is he's clever and he's utilising its knowledge exists. But no, web shooters out your hands absolutely makes sense for those
It does
movies.
make sense. It does make more
it's
sense.
almost, even more so now that it's like what it just comes out. And then all of the jokes that people have ever made about the web shooters and stuff. They ask him.
Does
It's
it
kind
come
like,
out
does
of
it just
anywhere else?
Anywhere else? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
And how do you do it? Like, how do you make it inside you? And it's just like, I don't know. How do I?
Yeah, and
embroider
I liked that he.
that line.
I like that he explained that. He's like, "God, I don't know how it works. It just comes out.
Yeah.
I can't."
The same way I breathe.
Yeah, the same way I breathe.
That line.
I really like
so
that
good.
because he didn't try to explain it
No, yeah.
genetically.
No, they're not going to go and like, let's give you some
It just
full science.
happens.
He's just like, I don't really know, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, this is just, I'm Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah,
Great fight, and I could watch it again and again. I
Yeah.
think, no matter what I thought about the rest of the movie, I was ultimately not disappointed by its
So would you guys
fighting.
say would you say your turning point was them showing up?
Yeah,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
yeah, and I think it probably is for a lot of people. But I think a lot of people will, not necessarily on this podcast, but like I think a lot of people in general will have that point onwards in mind when thinking about the rest of the movie.
completely nostalgia goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The current consensus is that it's one of the best
Yeah.
comic book movies of all time, and unfortunately, I wholeheartedly disagree.
A lot of people have
I
been
don't agree with
WhatsApping
that.
me saying, oh my god, I've seen the new Spider-Man, and it's the best Spider-Man film ever. And all I do is reply to them with that GIF of Thor going, "Is it though?"
Yeah, I know exactly. It's I love that.
But it is this final bit that is, you know, you're genuinely inside, and you're going over in your head like all of the other Spider-Man iterations that, you know, have come before it, and seeing it all up on screen is kind of mind-boggling, the logistics of it, and also mind-boggling that we actually get to see it. And then in this last third, I feel like they do pull it off.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, you know, and then at the end, he's fighting Norman.
Yeah.
He's fighting
Again,
Green Goblin.
Brilliant fight.
Yeah.
Not swinging around, flying around.
it's-
It's just the two of them on the ground,
Yeah.
barking, laying
Yeah,
into
I
each
agree.
other.
I said it was like the fight in the in Spider-Man 1, where it's just like at the end of the fight when it gets to the real emotional bit,
Yeah.
it's just like it's just fists and
Yeah.
two people who are just really strong.
It reminded me a little bit, just because of how grounded and almost unsuperpowered it was, sort of thing. It reminded me a lot of the Dark Knight Rises, the Batman and Bane first fight, where they are literally both swapping blows, that sort of thing. Obviously, it wasn't, no way looks the same, but it some element of it, I'm like, I'm watching a Spider-Man movie,
It's just a bit brutality.
and
It's just a bit about
two people
brutality,
fighting.
really, isn't it?
You've got
Yeah.
Goblin versus Spider-Man, and it's just two people on the
Yeah.
ground fight. No more slamming each other through walls or anything like that. They are just on a platform, and they're just fighting. And it's just, I really, really enjoyed it. It looked like there was some fight choreography probably happened, like rather than just two CGI guys. But yeah, really, really enjoyed that fight, and and how he got in that fight and the darkness, and he was going to kill him.
And and then
I was waiting for him to be like do the whole stab
yeah.
next to him
And
thing.
then we
but
come
no,
to
he
the
was-
payoff moment from May's death, which I was talking about, when he goes to stab him with the glider, and then I loved that. That was my favourite bit in the film, when Toby swings in and grabs
just catches him. Yeah.
the glider, and does he say anything, or does he just look at him and
I think he just looks at
he
him.
just sort of looks at him as if to say like,
Don't do it.
no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about you guys, but
I
then
panicked.
then Toby gets stabbed
I
from
really
behind
panicked.
Yeah.
by Norman. That is the moment I actually started to feel something. Because I thought, no,
No, don't kill him.
he's not going to die.
Don't kill him, please. Let him go back to his world.
And I was like, oh shit.
I never have to see him again, but I need to know he's alive.
But it did the way that they shot it, and the way it happened.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a death because
yeah.
it was like a sudden like a.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
They've just killed Toby Maguire.
that's a
They've just
classic
killed-
movie
Yeah.
surprise death, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
I
could
thought-
feel it coming.
I thought-
I could feel it.
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
What, that Toby was gonna
Yeah, it lingered on that shot.
potentially die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even on that shot, just long
Yeah,
enough.
I was like,
You
they-
knew Norman was behind him. He wasn't looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Just before we get to more on that, Andrew Garfield saving MJ
Oh yeah.
was a great moment. Obviously,
great,
coming full
beautiful moment.
circle
Yeah.
to not being able to save Gwen Stacy. Something that was kind of theorized once they'd shown MJ falling
really?
Yeah.
in
oh,
the
okay.
trailer.
I didn't know.
so-
I kind of in that moment just before I was like, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: knowing
But no, in a good way.
knowing what's going to happen doesn't take away from
No,
it.
no.
Yeah.
it
Or,
was-
or theorizing what's going to happen
Yeah.
and then it actually coming
It's
to
one of those
fruition.
ones you're like, oh, do you know what would be good? And they did it.
And they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely did it.
You're right.
And
it's
the
really-
way he just like
breaks
lands,
down.
he lands just like so casually. Like I know it's quick,
Yeah.
but when he's caught her, they land on the ground, like they like bang. He's just like I caught her.
Yeah.
He's
I know, I
he's a
really
bit-
like that.
And he's
Yeah.
just, you okay?
He's like welling up.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful. He
It was
deserved
really-
that.
Absolutely.
He absolutely deserved that.
And because of this movie, he deserved that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would care
yeah,
if he deserved
I
it.
agree. Because of this movie,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
deserved that. Yeah.
Like I said, so the Gwen thing in the movie, I'm a bit like, obviously the Gwen thing is a big part of Spider-Man history anyway, and Spider-Man lore. But even though I've seen that second movie, I'm just kind of like, okay. But him mentioning that now, is this Andrew Garfield? I'm then like, oh my god, yeah, he lost Gwen.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
This film has made me now sort of feel more about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Even though if I again was to watch it, I'd probably
I'm not going to watch it. I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm,
no,
I
he
think I'm not
didn't
gonna
even
watch
watch Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen it. I have seen it in the past, but
Yeah.
I remember not liking it then, and I liked Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 1. So as soon as I watched 1 and it was awful. I was like, well, what is? I don't even need to see what 2 will be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
so
can't imagine I'll ever revisit those films again.
I don't
Oh,
want
I
it
don't
to
want
taint
to now.
because it will taint this.
Because I have such a grand image of
So I have
Andrew.
I have a new
I get it now.
glowing
Yeah.
image
Yeah,
of
he's
Andrew
been fixed.
Garfield.
I just watched the fixed one. I don't
A
see
nice
Electro shit
heavenly
either.
glow
Yeah.
comes when it's just like
Yeah.
when you think of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which I've spent a whole podcast slagging him off in the very recent past.
Yes.
So for me to just be like, this almost fixes him to a T.
But we all agree it's not Andrew Garfield's fault.
Not
He's a
at
great
all.
actor.
No, it's-
It was just-
we
it
love
was-
him.
This film
was
has proven it.
It was
This is film with wholeheartedly a
Yeah.
doubt
The writing.
proven
Yeah.
that it is the writing.
I mean, it's also kind of sad because it's like, you know,
Missed opportunity.
What could have been
Yeah.
if Marvel had retained him and had him a
We
Spider-Man
just had a good writing team.
in the MCU, which I think he would have been really successful.
Really successful. He would have. We'd never have seen Tom Holland, so
Yeah.
part of me's like,
Yeah,
okay with
exactly.
that.
Yeah, you're right.
Sad.
Sad about that but at the same time, I wouldn't have known. So
Yeah. What you can't miss what you didn't
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
So for
This
Tom Holland,
having,
but I love that Tom Holland. Not just because of how much I like him. I'm so glad Tom Holland is playing Spider-Man for him.
right.
Because he is such a Spider-Man fan. Him and Andrew Garfield actually grew up as like Spider-Man's their hero.
Yeah.
So this is what we said was sad about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It
was
loved
sad.
playing the character, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just taken from him, and he
Yeah.
never got a good delivery of it. Tom Holland's been getting some good writing and had good, decent deliveries of it, and he is such a Spider-Man fan. I've said it. That moment where he hugs them and says thank you.
Yeah.
I
that
feel
was
like that
nice.
was Tom Holland thanking
I liked that.
the 2 Spider-Men he grew up on, because he'd have been a kid during Andrew Garfield's reign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He'd
literally.
have been a kid.
I was really
like,
hoping that they would get a goodbye scene.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
They,
And and then when he went down, when he sort of swung down and said goodbye to them, I then was thinking, oh, please hug.
Yeah.
Or,
And it's the thank you.
Or do like a put your hands
Yeah.
in, go
Nice,
team
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Just do something.
Yeah,
And they did.
They did.
Yeah.
It was good, and it was very much. It's not been confirmed, but this part of me was literally like, it just felt like Tom Holland thanking them.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for giving me Spider-Man.
Thank you for being
That sort of
Spider-Man.
thing. Thanks
Yeah.
for being my Spider-Man. It's like he met his doctors. They're his doctors. They're his
Yes.
Spider-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I don't know. He might have just been short of the '90s cartoon. So, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean,
No,
he
but he
was
might
born
watch.
then,
We know
yeah.
he might be a fan of it. It might have still been on in some capacity. But yeah.
Anyway.
they are his Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was quite. I think it was brilliant.
Sorry.
The end of the film, with the villains going back to their respective universes, that happening before this happened, before. I don't know. There wasn't I don't think it was as impactful for me as
No, again,
any
I
of the
found
rest
it
of it.
underwhelming.
Yeah.
They just sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
all happy
And they didn't. There was no like
did like-
resolution
Yeah.
to. They didn't. There was no goodbye or anything. They were all just like sort of standing around. Like, oh, what's
The
going on?
closest
And
you
then
have really is between
just vanished.
the exchange between Electro and Garfield.
I liked that.
That was cool.
a really
that was a
good
cool little
scene.
thing. And then
Yeah.
like the way he says it. But so this is a bit I need to explain to you. I was actually I planned it for this. In Amazing, because I've seen it, Amazing Spider-Man 2, does he find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man?
Can't remember.
I can't remember.
Because surely he has to.
I've only seen it
Because
once.
the whole reason he's there.
I think he does because when him and Harry and the Goblin in that
Yeah.
one, I think they both find out.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I feel
Oh,
like
okay.
they both know by the
But
finale.
surely by the pure reason of him being here, he must do, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
he can't be here. He has to be villains.
Wait a
that
minute,
know.
doesn't he? When Andrew takes his mask off, doesn't he say,
It's
"I
almo-
thought you were black"?
This is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah,
This is
maybe
what's
not.
confusing me. Is he having his initial reaction from the last movie now? So he's sort of like he had that thought at the time, and he's now getting to convey it, or was he just finding out that he's Spider-Man? Because surely he can't be there if he's just finding out.
But
that
maybe
Peter Parker's
maybe he
Spider-Man.
knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he's never
Doesn't know
seen
who
him.
Peter Parker
Doesn't actually
is.
know who
Okay,
Peter
yeah,
Parker
got it.
is.
Okay, yeah.
Because Harry knows who
Yeah.
he is and sees
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
so
okay.
So
he
maybe
knows-
yeah,
he knows-
maybe that
Yeah.
why.
It's people that-
Okay,
maybe a
loophole.
bit of a
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
It meant we got this version of Electro that was fixed as well.
Yeah,
so
we're
I'm
okay
happy
with it,
for
yeah.
I did like that line. It makes it. You're like, yeah, I get
I
it.
thought you were black.
And then just a whole little another little.
Honestly,
Miles-
that's like a nice
Miles
little nod. I love that.
It
Miles
is, yeah.
nod.
It must be. He's like, there must be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
There
Yeah.
is. yeah. There
Yeah.
will be, hopefully.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
But yeah, I mean, having the Spider-Man like say goodbye, and honestly, I wish it had just kind of
Ended there.
ended or gone off from there into a different direction, and then having Stephen Strange have to do the spell again
Yeah.
and make everyone forget is just kind of like.
No, but
Like,
it's
it was-
the best thing that could have happened.
I know-
From
I
your
know,
perspective, everything we've been saying, what we want Spider-Man to be, that is the best thing that could have happened.
Okay,
really.
yeah, you might be right in that
Because
respect.
now
Yeah, because we wouldn't have got the end where he's
on his own.
he's on his own.
He's made his own
in
costume.
a grotty apartment.
He made the difficult decision. They're happy now.
No-
They're going
no
to
one
MIT.
knows
They don't have to worry
identity.
about him anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
He
like
could have told.
Yeah,
He could have convinced them.
it's like yeah,
He broke his
Yeah.
promise. He was supposed to win them back, and he knows in that moment,
Yeah.
he'd rather feel guilty and break his promise.
like
and
you
know,
said. We're gonna get Spider-Man by
Peter
himself
Parker.
in living in the city,
absolutely.
working at the Daily Bugle.
Radio thing like that. Like, yeah. He could do the Daily Bugle
Yeah.
thing, but the costume. Really liked the costume.
I liked the costume.
really like it.
Yeah.
It's very similar to one I use on the game anyway, but I really like the shine to it sort
Yeah.
of thing, and like,
Yeah,
and I loved that they confirmed by
Yeah.
having that sewing machine.
yeah,
So it's like this isn't another Stark Tech costume he's made.
Yeah,
Like,
yes,
He's not snuck
yes.
back in and made a thing.
Yes, that was good.
They showed broke material and a sewing machine. He's in the shitty apartment.
yes, good.
And
Finally,
he
Yeah.
is now
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Yes.
He is Spider-Man.
this
Peter
is a
Parker.
Tom Holland Spider-Man I can get on board with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was that letter? Is he got into MIT?
No, I don't think he did.
Okay, so
He did. No, the letter he had was stuff that he'd written to tell her, but
okay.
but then he just like backed out. 'cause he
Yeah,
was just like,
absolutely.
nah,
Yeah,
that's not.
there was a bit too much staring in that scene.
Yeah,
But it's the
Uncomfortable.
cinema, it's the movie, it's Hollywood. Like that's how romantic scenes are done. So there was like a romantic element
Yeah,
about it.
I wouldn't mind it if MJ and Ned, like that's the end of their story now, and we introduce some new characters.
I think they should use it to put them on a hiatus.
Yeah,
I mean they've gone to college in Boston,
Exactly.
so
yeah,
they're going to college in Boston. So
Yeah,
to
no,
MIT,
they can
so-
go over a bit
Yeah.
now. Obviously, the Ned thing might have to happen at some point. We don't know when,
Yeah.
when or if
Interesting.
But we-
that's
but we
gonna
can
happen.
have-
he
we-
goes to MIT and he studies robotics
Yeah.
and
What was it?
bioengineering, or
Yeah, no, because I don't think hobgoblins necessarily like Green Goblin, where it's a split entity. It's just a guy in a mask committing crime.
yeah. But
Interesting.
we can still have Harry. We can still have Gwen. We can still have. There's loads of characters we can still have in this universe.
I think their best bet is Miles
no, I think
as a friend.
I f-
Not
No,
no, not as a
Spider-Man.
friend. I've just meant there's other supporting characters.
That's what I mean. As a supporting character, I think
Yeah.
their best now bet. Now we can let them go off to college and stuff.
Hmm.
Miles and fucking Felicia Hardy, guys. With 3 Spider-Men in and no Felicia Hardy in a movie. We've seen it in one of the games based on the movie, and there's no Black Cat or Felicia
Yeah,
Hardy.
but exactly. But there's
Such a good
there's
character.
potential now for
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
characters to
We
come
can
in.
explore his other love
because
interests.
he's not confined to high
Peter
school.
Parker is about being Spider-Man, balancing his life,
Yeah,
and who his current love interest is. That guy has got so many girlfriends, it's unreal.
yeah.
But more than Batman, who's a bachelor, like a very suave bachelor.
Mm.
But yeah, I want to see some Black Cat now. I want to see Miles maybe a bit. Gwen, yeah, bring Gwen in somehow.
So what? I don't know if it's because I'm tired or whatever, but I've completely forgotten what the mid-credit scene was.
it was Venom.
Venom.
Tom
Oh,
Hardy.
yeah.
Which was quite good. I liked it. It was funny. It was Venom doing what we like him to do.
Ven-
There was some funny bits
Tom
of it.
Tom Hardy is just like taking down notes from a bartender about this universe that he's
Yeah.
just been transported
Yeah,
into.
Yeah.
which is cool. I like it. It's quite funny,
Yeah.
and you still get Venom's voice, like in the thing. Like it's
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
It does the only and now the symbiote is in
Yeah.
the Marvel universe. Why was that
Yeah.
piece of symbiote left behind?
I don't know. I mean, it's fine.
So that the next movie can happen.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing him, but again, I thought it was
Underwhelming, a bit
It
wasted.
should have been the post-credit scene, or there should have been something else. It was just a bit
I agree. Instead of that trailer at the end of the
wasteful.
post credits, I would
He's
have
just
liked
sitting in a bar,
Daredevil, like you said. I want
It
your
is gonna
Daredevil
it's gonna be weird, kind of trying to.
and then he goes back.
yeah.
So there's Tom Hardy is never
So
going to meet.
what was the point?
They keep saying Tom
of
Hardy
that?
and Tom Holland's characters are going to meet. They're not.
Yeah,
There's no they
Well,
can't.
Well,
now, surely.
yeah, exactly.
Or can they?
Yeah, but he's
No.
not going
I reckon. Here's the thing. I reckon they will. I think that.
But Venom can't become Eddie Brock.
Well, the next movie is which we'll get to. The next movie is Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, which I think is just going to be like the doors are open.
To be honest,
He's gone back, but
that's what it makes more sense to the end of this movie where they've teased this huge cataclysmic event that never happened.
So
it's like, oh, it's going to happen. Don't worry, guys. Just not this movie.
So let me ask you guys, because you know we were talking about right. Well, let me ask you guys, which universe is Tom Hardy's Venom and the Venom films?
They're in their own separate universe, I think.
Right, so they're not connected. Same, so who is Spider-Man in that universe?
There isn't.
I don't think there is.
As far as we know, there's not a Peter Parker.
Okay. Well, my theory, although I'm doubting it now because you seem to have debunked it, I was very much sort of under the impression that when Venom first came out, that this was set in the same universe as the Amazing Spider-Man films.
Interesting.
Because they came out around the same time. They call it the Sonyverse or whatever, but which doesn't include the Raimi films. So, and because this was like set in San Francisco and there wasn't any mention of Spider-Man, I thought, it must be set in the same universe as the Amazing Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then now that Tom Hardy's gone back to his own universe, we could maybe see Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man in a Venom sequel.
I would be 100% up for that.
Well up
so
for that.
would I.
Yeah.
With the writing,
if they confirm that, then we could have another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man
I'm so
film.
Up for more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Same.
Yeah.
They should do that. Is what I'm saying.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Even if it's not confirmed, they could do it. They could come up with that. They could come up with that idea tomorrow.
Then we could,
and it would easily be.
We could finally have the Spider-Man versus Venom film that we wanted.
It would be a good. It would be a good use of retconning. Because even if it's like, we didn't actually have that plan, but that could work without actually doing anything. It's like,
and then so because Sony can, which is I think it's part of the agreement as negotiated for by Tom Holland. Hats off to him. We would never have got that movie if it wasn't for Tom Holland. He's the one who got Disney and Sony to come to terms. But Sony can potentially now, they could
do their own little branch,
make their own Spider-Man films with Andrew Garfield in.
And not have to worry about having this constant negotiation with MCU. It's like, we've got Spider-Man as well now.
They can also retroactively retcon the first two Amazing Spider-Man films and just start afresh. But 100%. Still, but continuing the continuity. Sort of doing X-Men.
I think a lot of people would be well up for that. And it would make Sony so much fucking money as well.
Why go to the trouble of having a new actor and a new Spider-Man, introducing it all over again? Well, we've already got one.
I don't even think they have a plan for a Peter Parker or Spider-Man with Venom.
No,
it's just weird.
But they do have the rights because they made Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, absolutely. It would. I don't.
So it's not like they can't do it.
I don't think it would take them. They could work that out tomorrow, and by the end of the day, have all the rights and stuff they need.
Absolutely.
In place and stuff like that. I think
absolutely.
That'd be a brilliant idea.
Imagine it, Tom Hardy and Andrew Garfield.
It just reminded me as well. We're talking about
facing off against each other.
And I just want to see his one.
Just call it Venom versus Spider-Man.
Yes,
and
100% call it that.
Still have the Venom taking over Peter Parker thing, because if Venom was going to be able to attach himself to any of these Peter Parkers, it would be Andrew Garfield's one, because he's darker.
Because he's darker.
The dark intentions are there, and
so you could have evil Spider-Man and
black suit Spider-Man in.
Yep.
Dude, you're like You're
welcome.
Book it,
just
Sony.
to think, I don't even get paid.
Book it, Sony, you cowards.
Just quickly, jumping though. Back slightly, we were talking about the Andrew Garfield film. I like the where they're sitting there and having a conversation, and they're talking about like It's Tom Holland's how he's been to space. Toby saying about how
Yeah.
he's fought an alien,
Yeah.
and he kind of goes, "I'm kind of like really lame."
I want
and
to
then-
fight an alien.
Yeah.
but because I think again the understanding is that Andrew Garfield, it must be more universally understood that maybe he is the weaker as much as it's split.
Yeah.
And it's like them kind of going, "No, you're good, buddy. You're okay."
Yeah,
because
you're
of
all right.
how we.
Yeah.
I was in that moment, and she went to see him. I went, "I feel a bit bad now."
Yeah.
I've been slagging him off
Yeah,
all
I
week.
felt.
I've been slagging him off in public.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to address something. Not that anyone was probably wondering this, but I haven't really mentioned Toby much. I haven't really talked a lot about
Oh,
Toby.
yeah.
The reason for that is because the reason is because with Toby, everything delivered, like
Yeah.
it did what it said in the tin,
Mm.
right? So I loved seeing him. He was the same Toby that I love.
I'm so glad they didn't Luke Skywalker him.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Everyone wanted that, and I
But the reason but with Andrew, it surprised me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't really
Elevated him.
talked much about Toby because nothing.
He's good.
There was
He's
no,
great.
He's
there-
good.
yeah. There was
He is
yeah.
great. He is the original.
Exactly.
I love they didn't do
There
He's
was
the
no
only one.
necessary
I love the whole
change.
that they didn't do. Oh, life got him down. Shit. It's no. He's the same
He's
guy.
still the
Yeah,
same guy.
exactly.
And I want him
Yeah.
to be. He's the pure one.
Yes.
We want him to be the pure. I love that he was the one that caught the glider.
Yeah.
I love
same.
that he was like I said, the wise one dishing out advice.
Yeah.
He worked out where he was.
Yeah.
Even that conversation on the
it was
roof.
perfect.
He is guiding that. He's the one running that conversation on that
Yeah.
roof. He's in.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. He's the most passive and gentle of them.
Yeah.
And he is.
Yes, he is.
But he is the one in charge.
Yes.
Kind of like
yeah.
he was absolutely. He was literally as gently, but he was very much.
Yeah. I love it.
Like they were following him, and absolutely brilliant.
And my only gripe really is that he didn't somehow fit in saying I cried like a baby. If only he'd said that, it would have been perfect.
Somewhere in there would have been quite.
Yeah,
funny.
like
Or even just he caught Andrew Garfield when he caught Gwen, like you cried. He
Yeah.
just make a joke to him at the end, go, "You cried like a baby."
yeah, or something like that. I
As
cried
in their
like a
last
baby
moment.
when I saw you.
What was their
catch
last
MJ.
line together? I can't remember it.
I don't think they.
Before
No,
they
they,
go.
I don't think they said anything. They
Oh,
just
the
gave each
audience-
other a look of
and
acknowledgement.
the audience laughed or something. I think. But yeah,
No, they laughed at the bit where Andrew Garfield's propping up Tobey Maguire, and he's just like, "You're in a
yeah.
tremendous amount of pain now, aren't you?" He's just like,
Oh,
"Yes,
yes,
yes, I am."
that's
Yes,
what I mean.
yes, I
That
am,
bit,
yeah.
yeah.
Then after the credits had finished, so we had a mid credits, nice little Tom Holland, and
I know.
and then we had an odd inclusion of a trailer at the end we haven't seen since the end of Captain America: First Avenger.
I think so.
They
Yeah.
had a trailer for the Avengers at the end
Yeah,
of it.
they haven't done that.
Doing a bit
Not
of
just a trailer, even by the way, a Marvel trailer.
so yeah, a nice spoilerific.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff, and then half of a scene with Wanda and Doctor Strange.
I know. I think didn't we all say and agree that it would have been much better if that scene was.
Yeah.
If they
'Cause
just
up until
had
that
Wanda and
point-
Strange.
Up until that point, it was a trailer. I'd say it was
Yeah,
a trailer.
it
but
was,
they did
yeah.
the Marvel thing where they just took it that 1 second shot too far and showed us something that we didn't need to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
Just have him just have the scene be him walking through the orchard.
Yeah.
And we see the figure of a woman, and he
it's
just
Wanda.
goes up and he goes, "Hello, Wanda," and then she turns around and it cuts to black.
That's all we needed.
That's all we needed.
We don't know. I don't need to know what's happening in the movie.
No,
Give
we
us
don't
a
need any
trailer.
context.
Stop explaining to me the
All
context.
we need. So maybe Wanda's going to be in the next Doctor Strange film.
Is he going to fight her? Is he going to arrest her? Is this a face off of the villain and
Exactly.
hero? No, she's a hero. Okay, right, cool.
yeah, and the dialogue and wasn't really that inspiring. I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I was more just like, wow. Like expectations are quite high for Doctor Strange: Multiverse of
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah.
It's the
After
event,
things that
right?
have happened in
Absolutely.
series and movies so far. But the trailer itself and the scene, I don't want to beat the drum too hard that it explodes, but it's so underwhelming.
Yeah.
My catchphrase of the day, clearly.
Ruined.
Yeah,
but,
but
I was in a really good mood at the end of this movie.
yeah.
But especially because I said I did enjoy the movie as a whole, but I had problems with it. But once they showed up, it very much turned around. And I was in that moment like, I'm good. I'm satisfied with that. I know the question, and they were great, and I love Andrew now, and all those things are floating through my head. And then that fucking trailer came on, and I was literally in a bad mood walking out of the cinema because it was like, it just spoiled it. I hate it when they do it. Like, I just hate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's just unnecessary thing to do. We needed a scene that you said with Matt Murdock showing up. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, that should have been the post-credit
That's
scene.
what I wanted.
Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant to be.
Well,
so
now we get to the end of Spider-Man month to finally reveal the ratings for Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been it's been a good month. Been a good month
really
for the
good month.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
been a good month. Rewatching some of them. Putting myself through all the Spider-Man media that I could.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm gonna let.
Out of what?
Oh yes, out of what? It's
yeah.
it's probably the more important. I don't know. I see, me personally, obviously, I would probably say something like out of 5 underwhelming cameos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So,
yeah.
I mean, not to say that you might be scoring it high. You might be scoring it like high on the rating, but
Yeah.
it's a bit of a juxtaposition.
I like
right? It's
it.
a bit.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
bit of a.
Yeah, no, let's
is
do
it,
that.
You know,
5
it's-
underwhelming
It
cameos.
fits in. Yeah, it's on brand.
yeah. So I'm only going to let one of you go first. So
I think Sam should go first.
Sam, you can go first. Yeah.
Okay. So usual rules. Because I did enjoy this movie all the way through. I was enjoying it absolutely all the way through. I know we've spoken about it, and I've definitely got qualms with it. There are some problems. There are a bit of plot holes that will kind of damn it a bit. I'm gonna give it. Oh, the end is so good though.
I feel like we've all kind of got we've got the same similar argument, the same similar problem,
Conflict.
but it's
inner
going to be.
conflict.
I think they're going to be different numbers.
So let's go rewatchability.
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna. Oh, what did I give? Okay.
I know it's hard because
Right. So I'm thinking 3.5.
right.
But the end of this movie and their inclusion and the fixes that they do and the way we leave Spider-Man is pushing me to 4.
Right.
Right, what would I give Toby's? They'd get 5s. They get 5s. Yeah,
Gonna go for a 4.
I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
4. Yeah, 4.
Okay. That's lower than I thought
4.
you were going to give it.
No. So I know it wasn't that one, but Tobey Maguire's ones get the first Spider-Man and the second get 5. Like I would have done that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
3 would have probably got a 3, maybe less. Really didn't enjoy it, but I think I'm going to enjoy it more now after listening to your guys' podcast. You like things you pointed out.
I mean,
But-
I
so
think
I'm gonna
there's
go
two in terms of just a quick caveat, very quick. In terms of Spider-Man 3, I feel like there's people who've made up their minds and people who are open to it not being as bad as they thought.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I've gone from made up my mind to listening to your guys' podcast on it to open to it being better than I thought.
We've had that effect on some people.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think I was.
Influencers.
But no, yeah, no, absolutely. This one, yeah, I'm gonna go 4 with
Just
this
kidding.
one. Yeah, it's as I said, it doesn't. There will be other 4s that I loved a lot more, but it not a 3.5, so it's a 4. Yeah,
I'm getting that. Yeah, where it's like a 3.5 with an inflation to a 4.
because of how it just brilliant. I would say brilliant it was at the end. It was like 2 different movies. It's bizarre. It's very much a movie of 2 parts. You.
And Harry?
No, it's got to be
No,
you.
I'm gonna
It
let
can't
Harry
be
go
you last.
next.
He's got to go last.
No, I'm not. It's got to be Harry next.
I'm gonna give this film a 3 underwhelming cameos out of 5.
Okay.
See, I thought
that's now more than I thought you would give it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for the same reasons,
Yeah.
I hate myself for it, but I've given it an extra 0.5
Yeah.
because of the nostalgia baiting that I totally.
Yeah, but it executes
Indulge.
it very well.
It's not
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
nostalgia
yeah.
based. It's good writing.
Yeah,
It was good.
I feel like it's...
This is a hard thing.
It was good.
No,
good.
no. The bits we like.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to execute, and the fact that they did
Yeah.
it makes it a bit more bizarre. Why
I wouldn't say it's just nostalgia baiting. I feel
No,
like it's like
No,
good,
no,
yeah.
I'm not
they've included these in the film and they've executed it well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not just doing it because you really like Tobey Maguire.
I mean, the Spider-Man. I mean, the villains. Honestly,
Yeah, you're not, like-
we've changed it out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, yeah, we're all sort of in a similar,
Yeah.
different sort of. There's interchanges, but yeah,
no,
it does
I-
get that 0.5.
No, I thought plot-wise, I thought it was all over the place. This is just my opinion.
yes.
And I loved seeing the villains. I thought some of them were mishandled.
Yeah.
Some of them, others were handled very well. Like Electro, brilliant.
Yeah.
And obviously, I love seeing the Spider-Men. And again, I thought Andrew Garfield brilliant, surprised me a lot. So yeah, but and I loved like all the goosebumps moments, I call them, like seeing the Spider-Men together, the big fight at the end, all the payoffs, you know, the callbacks to the old films. So that, but I can only really rate it. I can only really rate for all that stuff. I can only give it a 2.5. But where I give it an extra 0.5 is because of Andrew Garfield.
Oh, okay. Just sold him. Put it on him. That's fair enough.
Because because I've completely changed my mind about him.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
I really feel like I genuinely, I would love to see him in another Spider-Man film now. You know, so yeah, and dare I say it, but there may just be 2 Spider-Men, mate.
So,
I was going to ask you at the end. I was going to be like, so how many?
and their
Spider-Man?
names are...
Oh, I should say that for the end. Never mind.
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Right, Liam.
And for all the reasons that you both have said, I very unlikely, this never happens. I'm never the middle ground. Oh, wait, I am always. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Oh, okay.
So, again, I would say I'm even probably raising it a whole 1 point for the points that have been raised.
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably would have given it a 2.5
Yeah.
if they hadn't stuck the landing as well
Yeah.
as they did. I probably would have just been like, yeah, it's about a 2.53 movie maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's 3.5. Really liked Electro, his changes. Really liked Andrew Garfield when he was in. Yes, the plot was all over the gaff. Great to see Melina, and Willem Dafoe was, when it got into the meat and drink of it, was Green Goblin.
Oh, so good.
Because he is.
He was so good.
And yeah, I can't give it any more than that. I'd be very remiss as to say anything more. But giving it less because of how good they pulled off the end, how much I still want to see Tom Holland's new iteration of Spider-Man, how we might get more Spider-Man from Andrew Garfield, maybe, possibly, fingers crossed, hopefully.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it anything lower.
Yeah.
So that's for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was a average run of your mill, I would say, like bog standard Spider-Man film, greatly elevated by the presence of all these old returning characters
And the execution of that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are fair scores.
Great, yeah. And with 3 Spider-Man comes great podcast ability.